Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV podcast number 410. And boy, oh boy,
we
it's
have
a special one.
The first guest in person in this new studio.
Welcome, Calvin Heimburg, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm here.
he is jacked and ready to be here.
I am.
All right, so a couple quick updates and details for everyone. Of course, we've invited our United States Women's Disc Golf Champion in Haley King. She is traveling from Wisconsin down to Idlewild or Burlington, Kentucky area. I don't know exactly where she's staying, and if I did, I wouldn't share it with you. But she is traveling that direction today, and she said she's going to hopefully be able to check in with us at some point whenever she gets all settled in. And lo and behold, through the just some kind of good fortune and good luck for all of us, Kelvin's still in town after taking in a little bit of the U.S. Women's, after the Funky Farms last week, and everything else, and just about to set sail, so to speak.
No, I don't believe there'll be any sailing.
I think he's taking a yacht. You going over to Finland, aren't
the
you?
Titanic?
Going to Norway.
Okay, Norway first. That's right. PCS Sula Open. So let's start with that, Kelvin. You've traveled internationally before, but it wasn't for disc golf. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, I've traveled to Europe before. I traveled and backpacked there for a couple months in 2018. No disc golf involved in that. That was just for fun with some college friends. But so yeah, I get to play European tournaments for the first time this year. Super excited. I've seen videos of them in the past, and they look pretty amazing and epic, so I'm sure they're going to be great since they haven't happened in a couple years, so I imagine they're only going to be bigger and better than they were.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see the crowd sizes at Sula and the European Open, because for the last couple events, we've seen some really, really good crowd sizes at the Preserve, and what was right before the Preserve, crying out loud? Portland? Was that the one before that? So yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So go back to 2018 just for a moment. You said you did that with some college friends, but you were playing disc golf in 2018. Yep. Explain your life in 2018 and what it was like then, and how playing disc golf well overseas wasn't a priority to you then.
Yeah, I mean, I graduated college at the end of 2017. Proceeded to work for basically a semester while some other friends graduated from college, and once they graduated, we had the plan to go backpack in Europe. So I had been playing disc golf. I didn't really actually get to play too much at the beginning of 2018. I was kind of dealing with a back injury, and so I hadn't played much then, but I backpacked in Europe for a couple months, and when I came back, I started playing tournaments again. It's pretty much when I started touring. I flew out to Idlewild. I believe I placed like 7th or tied for 7th. And then I was like, yeah, I'm going to try this for a while. So I flew back home, drove up to Ledgestone, and toured the second half of 2018. And I'm still driving around playing disc golf. So I haven't stopped.
Things have changed considerably for you. You're in a nice van.
I got a tour of the van before.
That you've built out. So you're officially living on the road in that sense. I feel like the vehicle you were in prior was a little bit smaller, and maybe even some shared spaces with other players.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, there was occasionally where I would travel around with like either Zach or Madison, or maybe someone else would hop in every once in a while, maybe Thomas or someone. But yeah, I drove a Mazda 3 with a topper on it. Not a ton of space. Definitely an upgrade now with the van. So everything has a place. I got like a sink, a fridge, and a bed. So a lot more amenities and just higher quality of living.
Well, let's back up. Was it ever a problem when you'd stay at other people's houses for them to have living arrangements or sleeping arrangements that were comfortable enough for you? You being a taller stature.
No, not really. I'm kind of used to having my feet hang off the end of a bed or something. So, but yeah, I traveled around with like a fold-up foam mattress, like a trifold mattress. Took up quite a bit of space in the Mazda 3, but it was pretty comfortable and super useful when I was staying at other people's houses, especially when they didn't necessarily have a bed. A little nicer than the typical air mattress.
So going back to Europe just for a moment, when you were doing that with your buddies, what was the goal? What was the agenda? Was it as many countries or sites? Were you knocking off landmarks and historical things, or what exactly was your overall goal in that trip? And how long was it?
It was about 8 weeks. I can't say there was like too many goals. We definitely did a little planning and had an idea of kind of places we wanted to go, but we pretty much just had like a flight in and a flight out. Like I flew into Berlin and then I flew out of London, and I knew those dates, and we had done research and had an idea of cool places we wanted to go, but some of them we made it to, others we didn't. It was just kind of also seeing what travel was cheap or what everyone was feeling. Like it wasn't all planned out, so we didn't like have everything just itineraried out. It was just, if we really liked the place, we'd stay a little longer. If we didn't like a place, we would leave and move on.
I love the perspective, albeit it sounds a little cliche in our world of like, oh yeah, after high school or after college, I went backpacking across Europe. But clearly, people are doing it for a reason. And my question would be, how do you feel seeing so many of our disc golfers come here? You know, I think of the Silvers and the Albert Toms and the the Kristen Tatars and all of the competitors that have come here through the last few years. How do you compare and contrast maybe some of their experiences versus when you had gone over there in terms of how that all works out for somebody just to arrive and then have a whole country to explore?
I don't know. Their perspective is probably way different in the sense that like they're actually here for a reason. Like they have places to be and tournaments to play. I literally was just there to do nothing specific, just whatever I wanted to do. So there's probably different. I do think they're probably like just as far as like traveling, especially on tour, like they're probably doing way more driving and just like longer trips than they're used to, because I feel like everything over there is a little more compact. It doesn't really take quite as long to really get to a completely different country. Like Europe's much smaller than I think we all think.
Yeah. What would be, whether it's a plug for high school or college or midlife crisis or anything in between or just vacation, where would your plug be for? Where's a must-hit area or experience that you would say that just is super memorable to you?
My two favorite cities were Berlin and Barcelona. So,
what about those? Anything in particular?
I really enjoyed the food in Spain. Also, just it was warm and it reminded me a little home. Maybe, I don't know. I enjoyed being out there in Spain, and then as far as Berlin goes, it was just a lot of cool history, and that was cool.
Okay.
Cool beer gardens.
Okay. But 18, carry the... How old are you now?
Right now, I'm 27.
Okay. Your math checks out, that's all.
Okay. Cool.
Even though over there, I'm pretty sure, 16, 18 is probably all you needed to be in most of those places?
I don't know. I was older than that, so it didn't matter.
Didn't care. Did not matter.
It didn't matter. All right, I'm not trying to get you in trouble here, buddy. All right, well let's talk about what you experienced. As I'm gonna continue to watch and see if Haley, when she becomes available, we'll get her to chime in and join us. But let's talk about your experience in the U.S. Women's this last week.
Oh, I thought we'd go back to the celebrity event.
Okay, yeah, that's even better. We'll go back.
Let's start chronologically, Terry.
Yeah, there you go. Let's go back almost exactly a full week and tell us about the Funky Farms, your experience. No spoilers about results maybe, but tell us about your experience, the Funky Farms, and what we all experienced out there.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. A little bit different format this year, and a bunch of different faces. A lot of new people, but like last year we all played like singles to seed ourselves, but this year it was just 2 different rounds of doubles. The first round of doubles did affect who your partner was for the next round, but yeah, it was super fun. It's always super fun. Laid back. The course is a little shorter and technical, but cool lines to hit, and definitely playable by everyone there. So, yeah.
And
I was going to say, who did you get matched up as with your celebrities? Because first round and second round, as you said, was different, but it was always a pro and then a celebrity or Terry.
Yep. Yeah. So I got to play with the two NFL players that were there, Evan and Chase. Honestly, I'm drawing a blank on last names. So
McLaughlin and Evan Smith.
Evan Smith.
Chase McLaughlin.
Former offensive lineman for the Packers was Evan Smith. He has a
sweet Super Bowl ring.
Sweet, yep. I got a picture with it as well, as I'm a big Packer fan. And then Chase McLaughlin, you said?
McLaughlin.
As he was a kicker for Cincinnati.
That was his most recent. Team. I don't know if he's unsigned at the moment, but he was playing. I believe it was the Cleveland Browns, not the Cincinnati Bengals, but I believe it was Cleveland Browns.
Somewhere his signature's on here.
Some of you saw the Funky Farms sweet super color buzz that was. I guess it must have been made available. I saw somebody else that wasn't there with one of them posting online. So either that or they found the one in your van, Kelvin.
There's a few. Ricky left a couple in my van.
Okay. So, unique format. Describe, I think I've talked about it a little bit, but from your perspective, like, what does that mean to have these celebrities who most of them, honestly, are in awe of you and the rest of the people there? Does that mean anything extra special to you?
I don't know if it means anything more, but it's pretty cool to get to meet other people that like in the case of Evan and Chase, like they've made it to the top of their sport, or unfortunately, some of the people we didn't get this year, we missed out on some actors. It's just cool to see other people that have really put in a lot of time to their craft and been successful at it, and it's cool to hear kind of like their perspectives on how it all went and just talk to them some.
I think one of the cool parts, exactly as you're explaining, is we have even had this really unique diversity and the variety of celebrities that have been there. Now we've had, and if you include last year, you think about Andrew Chef Zimmerman, who unfortunately we knew couldn't, had to back out at the last moment or couldn't join us. But, professional chef, YouTuber, rapper, and Crip the Rapper, a couple of NFL players, Dylan Cease, an MLB player, then who we had last year. This year we also had Casey DeSmith, who's a damn good disc golfer.
He's like a 970 rated golfer,
or even higher.
Maybe higher now.
At least that.
He was hitting some putts.
I think it was just announced today. Re-signed to a 2-year deal with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I didn't see that, but yeah, that's who he was playing for.
Yeah, re-signed a 2-year deal as their goalie. I saw that just happen earlier today. And then, like you said, last year we had a couple more actors. We've got then 2 or 3 different MMA stars. It's really diverse. It would be cool even if it were like, oh, we have 6 ex-NFL players, but we truly have this
diversity.
Yeah, and then along with Wes Finley of Revolution, who's a drummer and one of the largest, most sought after reggae bands. So I think that's part of what makes it really cool. The conversations during the day and at night are anything but boring.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't know. Yeah, definitely going to meet a lot of new people and definitely from a lot of different walks of life. So it's definitely been cool.
So we played that like last year, hot. Maybe not quite as hot as the 2021 version, but muggy and hot, and then everyone got to go enjoy a little after hours party. Is that a good way to put it?
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, we had whatever the meet and greet the day before the event, and then there was kind of like a little party afterwards. So
some typical Wisconsin appetizers, meat and cheese were served.
Yep, definitely.
And then
some meat and cheese.
Some Ben Askren old fashions. The drinks were named after either some of our celebrities and or some staples within Wisconsin. So certainly a good time over there. And then the very next day, we were starting off the U.S. Women's. So explain what kind of your role was. How'd you stay incognito, and what did you see?
Yeah, I was just out there spectating. I didn't make it out there for round 1 to really see anything, but I was out there walking around for rounds 2, 3, and 4, so I got to see both courses, and that the FPO played in Token and Elver. There's really no staying incognito. That is not possible. But yeah, so I signed plenty of autographs, got to meet plenty of fans out there. Even though I wasn't really the show that week, I don't know, people still picked me out. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was cool to watch. Pretty crazy to see the same lead card for like the entire event. I don't feel like you really ever see that, but you know, those four ladies just put their pedal to the metal and just kind of kept their foot on the gas. You know, at the very end, I think Val from Chase Card had a chance kind of to win it, possibly. She made a really big putt on 18. I mean, it would have taken Haley some pretty big mistakes on 18 for anything to not go her way, but overall, pretty exciting event. I feel like it was very scoreable for a lot of people in the division.
Yeah, it really felt like their scores matched more what we see with the MPO scores normally, where the hot rounds are looking at 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yeah.
For most MPO rounds on almost any Elite Series event, we're seeing those as your top-of-the-line scores, and then a lot of 5s and 6s. We got that for FPO this weekend, and it was, honestly, from my perspective, really enjoyable to see them attack a course that was not, you know, I don't want to get into course dynamics with MPO, FPO, but it felt like it was catered more towards them versus the MPO.
Yeah, it definitely played as more scoreable for the majority of their field. I can't really speak as the total scores all ended up and how like top 10. Terry just pulled it up here.
Yeah, we'll touch on that a little bit. Of course, Haley King, your champion at 30 under. Valerie had that scorching hot final round, who shot 5 better than Haley and came up 1 stroke short of a playoff. Valerie shot 29 under. Owen Scoggins at 28. Katrina Allen at 25, tied with Maria Oliva at 25. Evelina Salonen at 23. Arya Castorita at 22. Tying with Henna Blumros and Sai Ananda. So those are all the women that rounded out the top 9, and then to round out the top 10, we include then Missy Gannon, Natalie Ryan, and Sarah Hokum, all in a 3-way tie for 10th place. It has to be said, just like we do anytime you have a conversation on the MPO side, when you're talking about one of the greatest of all time, it's almost insane to scroll to 21st place to see Paige Pierce.
I don't know. I got a theory on that.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
Would you?
Yeah. Are you going to sound stupid?
Probably.
Okay.
There's a really good chance.
Okay.
A lot of people are talking about Paige's calendar this week, about, you know, visiting family and doing the Jomez commentary and all the other stuff she was doing. I personally don't buy that much into that. As when Paige gets on the course, she gets on the course. I think she's a professional. She can block all that other stuff out. I just think that the courses didn't cater to her. And not just the distance. In the years that we've seen Paige play, she is most dominant when she's aggressive. She can't be super aggressive on these courses or she'll blow past the holes. And so she has to disc down. And I feel like when you disc down to either a fairway driver or a mid-range, is she as deadly with those discs as she is with her drivers? I don't know for sure, but I feel like maybe that hurt her in that she couldn't be as aggressive as she likes to be. And when Paige isn't aggressive, she's not usually as dominant. So I think that maybe this particular style of course, where it was birdie or die, and a lot of these holes were 300 to 320 feet, just didn't work for her. Calvin? You know Paige
Counterpoint, Calvin Heimburg, go. We just got serious here.
Counterpoint.
Is this our new podcast?
I don't think like aggressive is probably the right way to describe it. Normally, I mean, I think you're like, obviously Paige has an advantage when it comes to distance, and distance wasn't really as big of a factor at this event. The par 4s were short. The par 3s, for the most part, there really wasn't anything too long. There might have been a couple that were, you know, in the 350 range, but I can't really think of anything that was much longer than that. So
there was like 4 of them that were over 400 feet, I think, all weekend.
As far as par 3s went?
Or par 4s, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, so the par fours were pretty short and the par threes weren't very long. So I think normally you see Paige separate because she has more opportunities, because she can throw farther. And when, you use distance as a skill, it's not like it's something that she excels at. So she gets the opportunity to putt for birdie as where the rest of the field might not on a certain hole. And when everybody is putting for birdie all the time, like, it's kind of a putt off, and she might not be the most dominant putter in the field. I feel like we see.
Not anymore. You're right. I think she's really good from outside the circle.
Yeah.
But I think she's been struggling a little bit inside the circle, which is really interesting because last year we heard at USWDGC some of these same discussion points about these courses. They were short. They were, whatever, and she won by 20 plus strokes.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you're playing a little bit different style of golf here, where it's slightly more wooded in some aspects. So again, it's just a working theory that I don't know if she is as dominant with maybe some of her other discs as opposed to some of the other women that can maybe just not have to worry about dialing it down to 85% or 80%. They're more at 90% where they're normally used to throwing anyway. So it's clearly a different skill to have to throw at 70, 80, 90%. And personally, I don't know if that's one of the theories. I feel
like you typically I feel like a lot of times you're just comfortable throwing at a certain speed, and then you just choose the right disc for that speed. So it's like I don't think like Paige was necessarily like dialing down her.
You don't think so?
Her speed. I think she'd probably just throw a slower disc than anyone else. But I could be wrong. I didn't really get a chance to watch Paige this week.
Nobody
did. No, there were definitely people out there watching Paige.
She had huge galleries.
There's definitely big galleries following Paige still. I just did not get to see her play that much. I think I saw her throw a few holes, but I don't know. Obviously, it wasn't her greatest week. I mean, only she could probably tell you honestly why, or what she thinks was the reason why. But this will be one that she forgets very quickly.
Oh yeah, I have a. She's playing. I'm assuming she's playing Idlewild, right?
That's actually a great question, and I don't know.
I'm not sure if she is because obviously we've got some
she's
pros.
currently listed as it, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything due to how many players are.
And the way a lot of times you do the pre-registration, if you just sign up for all the events at the beginning of the year, things change during the year. Whether she's just going overseas or not.
She is not listed as currently being. Through the PDGA, she's not listed as being part of the Sula event, and she is listed as being at Idlewild. She's also listed, of course, at being at the European Open, but not necessarily at the PCS Sula. So, and nothing for nothing, she doesn't need the Silver Series points, and that's not what she's currently concerned about. It's 4 rounds at 2 different courses. It's technically a Silver Series, therefore it doesn't fit what she's typically been playing, other than being there from a PR perspective, which clearly a lot of our players are doing.
And experience.
Experience and everything else. But I'm just saying, like,
event.
it's not crucial that she's there competing in it, but she is listed as being at the European Open, and she's currently listed as for being at Idlewild. So I'm pretty sure, if I think back to a social media post of hers, I feel like she said she'd be there. But
okay,
real quick, I'll touch on what something you guys were both just talking about when you're going back and looking at some of the stats, and we all know this isn't a.
What do stats tell you?
This isn't a. This might provide some insight. You look at 72% fairway hits out at Vallarta on the first day and on the second day. 61% fairway hits on the third day, 56% fairway hits on the fourth day. I know there's some subjectivity to all of those, but really when you look at all of her statistics, like every single statistic, she doesn't even crack, she barely cracks the top 17, we'll say. She in C1X putts, that was her best overall stat really at 80%, and that was still 17th in the field. 18th percent in birdie rate, she's usually first or second, picking up more birdies than anyone. And then C2 regular, just literally every stat. None of these
you can get
Paige Pierce like stats, not a single one of them.
You'd have to go back and look at what her normal C1X percentage is this year. I don't know if it's sitting around 80, if she's normally a little higher than that, but it sounds like she had a hard time getting up off the tee, is what it sounded like. And that could be for whatever reason. So, I mean, putting didn't help her either. Not when there's 17 people putting better than you, and probably all of them finished, or I would be willing to bet 70% of them finished higher than her on the weekend.
Yeah.
Because we did see that lead card. Hailey King's a great putter. Owen Scoggins, one of the best. Valerie Mondahano, while she was on the second card, is one of our best putters these days. The only exception is really Evelina, who's been having a rough putting season. And her first 3 rounds were in the 80s. It was just that final round when she kind of old habits, unfortunately, reared their ugly head. So...
anything jump out here? I mean, now this is including this last weekend where we see Paige Pierce, her C1X putting is 74%. Prior to this weekend, it definitely was a little bit higher. Anything else jump off the page?
I mean, not really. I mean, she putted about what she normally does, so putting wasn't really any different. I mean, C1 and C2 are pretty close. They're within like 5-6% on both of those. And honestly, they might have been better this weekend than normal. So yeah, it seems like her tee shots might not have been as good.
Yeah, well, fairway hits showing at 73% here. What did we say she had? 62, 62, 60, and 56. So yeah, as we were saying, maybe it was just the not finding the fairway, and everything else stayed, status quo, but not finding the fairway certainly is going to take you out of position when you can birdie every single hole on these two courses.
Certainly.
So did the two courses, maybe that was kind of a question off the board as well, but did the two courses, they were shorter. And I know that was a huge point of conversation at the press conference. They just came off the preserve at nearly 10,000 feet. Now we're playing two courses that are, 67 or 7,700 feet.
No, 60. They both were under 6,500 feet. I believe.
Okay, so let's just for the argument call them 6,500 feet. So 2/3 what they're used to playing. Has the FPO division outgrown the U.S. Women's Championships, or at least the same courses? Or could we just play short courses every once in a while?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can definitely play short courses every once in a while. I think as the sport continues to grow, the courses are going to naturally get longer because it's just a way that you can start to differentiate people. Not taking away from anything technical, you can also play courses that are longer and have technical things and elements. So I do think you can play short courses every once in a while. I would like to see it probably be a little more balanced than it was this week. I think they could have had some par fours that were a little longer.
There were a few pin placements that I didn't necessarily agree with, I'll say. And that's just a preference between Token and Elver.
Yeah.
Watching the coverage. I didn't get a chance to get out to Elver in person. I walked both days at Token. But walking that course, I was like, well, maybe I would have liked to see this one in the long position versus the medium position. But then again, when you do that, there's like 2 women that have a chance at birdie, unfortunately. And maybe that's what we do want. We want to be able to separate those 2 or 3 or 4 women that can get those birdies on a regular basis. Someone like, Krishna Tatar, Evelina, Paige, Haley, and, whomever, maybe Maria Oliva, the way she throws lately. She's got sneaky distance. Because she doesn't look like she's throwing it really hard, but it seems to go just as far as all the other women.
Yeah, I think that there's something to be said about how smooth she really is when she gets up there to provide that sneaky distance. And just to put it out there, you're looking at essentially 6,600 feet for the Token Creek course, and you were looking at about 6,300 feet for the Elver course. So yeah, definitely different than just a few feet short of 10,000. When they were at the preserve.
And I think we talked about this a little bit last week, but regards to the different majors we have, we've got, let's just take this year. Champions Cup is at W.R. Jackson, long, technical, wooded. You've got Worlds in Emporia, wide open, hopefully not too windy, distance. The European Open, which is on the Beast, which is relatively long. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the FPO setup particularly with that one, but I'm assuming it's going to be long and European style. So relatively tight lines in some spots, and there's a few open holes out on the Beast, I believe. I haven't, again, researched it. So I honestly don't mind, particularly for the women, going to a short technical course or a short course in general that literally will challenge completely different skill set. I wouldn't even mind seeing it for the MPO, maybe not quite 6,500, but maybe closer to that 75 to 8,000 range for MPO, and make it really a real true deuce or die, kind of like the Preserve, with maybe a few less par fours, because the Preserve is, I think, the closest thing we have in MPO to a deuce or die. You have to birdie almost every hole out there, and having something like that for women, I love it, honestly. If the USWDGC never went to a course over 7,500 feet, I wouldn't mind, and just challenge a different skill set. We saw a lot of the same top women, but we saw a few other people who we don't normally see up there. I mean, Sayananda isn't necessarily known as a crusher, but she is accurate. She went I think I saw 64 straight holes without a birdie, or without a bogey. Like all pars, birdie. It's great to see these other women be able to showcase the skills and the advantages they have over the distance throwers. So,
yeah, and again, to put it out there, Idlewild typically plays the longest and toughest course, longest round wise, and arguably the toughest course overall at 9,700 feet for the women this weekend. So,
from one extreme to another.
Yeah, quite the contrast that we're going to see out there. So, pretty crazy.
And I bet you we're going to see a lead card that's going to consist of Paige, Kat, Ella, and somebody else.
Maybe.
Not necessarily, but
I don't think Idlewild necessarily just lends itself to distance throwers. You have to be good at scrambling. You have to definitely be able to hit the fairways.
For sure. There's a lot of holes there in that middle that you can get really. We've seen the KY hole, as they used to call it. I don't think Paige has ever gotten clean on that one. She has a tendency to hit and just kick into the worst spots on that hole.
Yeah. If you can throw far, you can also throw far into the rough.
Very true. And I know you're traveling overseas. You're going to this incredible event. I've seen both of the courses, and the hospitality, everything is second to none. 4+ days in Norway. So all that being said, how much of it pulls on you that, oh man, I don't get to play Idlewild. I don't get to be challenged or try and conquer Idlewild this year. Does that pull on you at all?
Yeah, I enjoy going to Idlewild. More so for all the side activities I get to do there. I normally stay with Zach Arlinghouse, and his grandfather has a basketball court at his house, an indoor court. So, generally get to do a lot of fun balling and stuff. But no, it's as far as disc golf, yeah, it's a little disappointing not to get to play there, but I'm sure we'll be back again next year. It's always an interesting one. It's really hard to say who's ever going to win. I just don't really feel like I don't know if people repeat win out there at all.
Didn't we see Ellen Widboom win it?
Yeah, she's won.
She's won.
Yeah, and
she hasn't repeated.
No, I'm just saying in general for winners, like you're saying, no repeat winners that I recall. But
it's been a little mixture of everybody.
I think Paul's maybe won it twice.
Yeah, it's not common by any means.
Yeah, it just seems like it's kind of anyone's game out there. It tests a lot of elements of your game. If you're really throwing clean tee shots, it's going to be pretty easy. But as soon as you start getting off the fairway, you have to scramble, and if you're really good at scrambling, sometimes you can turn scrambles into still scoring opportunities. So it's really cool. Like last year we were a couple people not getting birdies on 18 away from like the biggest playoff ever. If Kyle and Andrew hadn't birdied, there probably would have been like 6 or 7 people in a playoff for the win. So it's normally super tight scoring, and I think it always makes it a pretty exciting one to play.
Yeah, there's no rest, because you think about maybe even the eagle opportunity that always is on 16. Then you head over to 17 where anything can happen. And I know they changed up the tee to make it a little bit, I think, more straightforward in a sense last year. And then 18, those are 2 pressure-packed shots. No matter how perfect your tee shot is on 18, you still have to execute a good second shot to stay out of those trees. And a 3 feels like a damn good birdie, doesn't it?
Yeah, 3 is a great score on that hole. So,
okay.
And I know they've changed up the course a little bit this year. There's a few new tee pad positions. I think we got rid of one of the holes. I believe the one that eagled. Hole 2. Is that no? I think it's 3 and 4 maybe that are new.
Yeah, I believe 3 turned into a par 4, and then 4 might be a new hole.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
four's
different tees and different pins for.
Maybe I think 3 might be like the same tee, different basket.
Okay.
4, I don't remember. Zach was telling me about it, but
it's like a double water carry on 4. I watched a little bit of Ezra and Brody thing today because I kind of wanted to catch up on the course. And the new hole 4, you play over the water. Need to get it about, I'd say, 350 feet, maybe 400 feet. And then there's kind of a wall of scattered trees. You need to break through those and get over another body of water, about another 250 feet, it looked like, or 300 feet. Yeah, I think the hole's like 700 and some odd feet. So your goal is to just make it over the first water, not go OB left, leave yourself in a good position, and then bust through the trees and get to the pin. It'll be an interesting hole.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of where that means 3 is. I guess we'll have to do some research on that. Okay. So what do you feel about, and I confirmed with Paul Macbeth, he's another one of those people, just like we were just talking about Paige a few moments ago, whether or not she's going to be there and who's going overseas and who isn't. I know Paul is planning on playing in Idlewild and then going over there. What made the decision one way or another for you? In terms of like playing it and then going, as we're seeing a couple of our players do.
Well, I don't think Paul's playing Sula. Maybe he is. I don't know. Because like the turnaround from Idlewild to Sula starts on a Wednesday, so it would be pretty bad. Like even if you caught a Sunday night flight, get in sometime Monday, you're completely trashed for the next day. Like and then you play the event. So I don't know of too many people. I think James Conrad might be one person that is doing that, but I don't think too many people that are playing Idlewild are actually playing Sula. They're probably just getting their stuff together and flying out mid the next week and showing up to Finland. Because I'm sure Paige has signed up for European Open and playing that one. But for me, Sula is an Innova-sponsored event, and they wanted me there, so they reached out to me. I wasn't originally on my schedule, and they just helped work everything out for me and got it on my schedule. And unfortunately, that meant I missed Idlewild, but I got a lot of exciting things ahead of me at Sula. I'm going to be there like a week before the event starts, basically. So I'm going to have some free time to go do some exploring out there. I know there's some pretty cool other things that I planned for me as far as just
fjords.
Yep, some boat rides and then just some hiking and stuff. So it's gonna be a pretty exciting trip.
Some fan stuff you're gonna get to do, like signings or anything like that.
I have to look at my itinerary again. I don't know. I
check
don't
your
recall.
Palm Pilot. We'll take.
I'll check my Palm Pilot, and if not, I'll have to schedule something in there or something. I don't know.
I would love. I could gush probably for hours about the time that I last had over at the PCS Sula. It's just incredible. Some gracious hosts, all of the experience, and then the views. And I said this a few weeks ago. I said when we were standing on the tee of 1 in Bailey for the match play, I said the only view that will top the view that we had at Bailey is when you're in Norway. I feel like that to me is, and it's similar, except for then there's fjords. So it's a very similar look and feel, all these, these glorious mountains, and then you also are playing alongside fjords, and yet, just water everywhere. So it just adds to the overall beauty. And you haven't been to Norway specifically, have you?
Yeah, no. I haven't really spent any time in Scandinavia, so no Norway or Finland. So it should be pretty exciting. Sula's in a pretty place on the coast, so super excited for that. Finland's going to be more of a disc golf centered week, but Norway, I'm definitely going to have some free time to go see some cool nature.
Go find some of our ancestors.
Yeah.
Midwest is filled with Norwegians.
How did I always thought that the accommodations might be one of the challenges if we brought a ton of players over, because the event was already successful, and now I think about bringing even more I'll say foreigners, more of us from the U.S. to come over. What do the accommodations look like? How does all that get taken care of? And does someone like you or a handful of other guys, do you guys rent a car, or are there things that get arranged? How does that all that stuff work for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just kind of depends on the event and who wants you there, how bad they want you there, and yeah, who else is traveling that you're friends with. So like, I mean, I'm definitely buddying up with, a couple of my friends, and Eric and Tina Oakley, and maybe even Thomas. I'm not sure. Like when I go over to Finland, renting a car because we're flying into Helsinki,
Okay.
and then renting a place. And
Thomas has been there for like 3 weeks now or something.
Yeah, Thomas has been there for a while. He's been playing a bunch of events. Super cool. I didn't realize that anyone was doing that. I guess he's probably the only one.
Well,
but,
yeah, he wanted to keep it secret so he could make sure he could take home some of those titles.
I mean, he's missed out on other events too. He definitely missed out on, like the Preserve and and whatnot. So, I mean, he missed out on his chance for that one, which is, I don't know what events he's played, but it's probably a bigger title than anything that he played. So
I know he did well. Was it the Baltic Open?
He won the Baltic Open this past weekend.
That's all right.
And he took 7th at the Oliva Open.
Okay.
So that was for $865, and winning the Baltic was $2,400. Okay. So you can't really argue with the results, depending on, I mean, with Thomas, he could take anywhere from 1st to 20th here over on this side with the competition level. I think the competition level is probably not quite as high over there as we've seen, but
is he signed up for anything this upcoming weekend? I'm sure he is.
I'm sure.
No, he's not playing in the Toonie, or maybe he is.
Nope.
Nope, not listed
the
as.
Sula is next, followed by the European Open. So he's kind of got the same schedule now as Calvin.
Okay, and I saw that Nate Perkins is playing in the Toonie, which is an event that I was at a few years ago, along with Seth Muncie, who was brought there, along with Eric and Tina and a number of others, and that's going on this weekend. And I know that's they always kind of dub it like the DDO of Finland, and it's the largest event that takes place number wise over in Europe in the entire year. And Nate Perkins made the post, and he was there a few years ago as well, but he made the post that he's the only MPO competitor from the U.S. in the field. And granted, it does have more of an amateur focus on the event overall, but best of luck to you out there, Nate, and hopefully he enjoys all those beautiful courses that are all part of the Toonie event. How important is it to you, Calvin, that, of course, this year it's Europe, any other bucket list courses or destinations like Australia or Thailand or Taiwan, any other bucket list?
Just name off the places you've been.
I was just trying to think of the
Japan.
places that I know of, but yeah, Japan Open. Is there any other bucket list places for you?
All those places would be cool to play. Obviously, the event has to be big enough to really warrant traveling out there, or it has to be, not in the middle of the season to where it's going to interfere with, the primary tour, which is like the main focus of what I'm supposed to be playing. But yeah, all those places sound super cool, not even just for disc golf, but just to go travel to, experience like some new cultures and just see different places of the planet. But maybe that'll happen at some point, but I'm not sure what the plan for events there is in the future.
All right. What is it? What is something that I know you just said just see some new places, but what is something? Let's just say you had the weekend available, the finances weren't really the issue. What excites you about going to see a new place or take in a new experience for a course? If it were to be international, like what would have to be part of the draw?
As far as international,
Yeah.
as far as the disc golf goes.
Or the destination mixed with the disc golf. Yeah. What would have to be? What would be some of the core components that you would need? What boxes would need to get checked?
I'm a sucker for some good scenery, so get some good scenery and good food. I like food, so scenery and food would be the two main things to check off.
Okay. Is Japan Open on your radar? And I ask specifically because we've seen I think I got an email that said, hey, if you were signed up a couple years ago, we're kind of, starting that engine back up, so to speak. And there's some things they're working on.
From scratch.
So, does Japan Open interest you?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen videos from Japan Open in the past. It honestly looks like a pretty fun event. I've heard great things, really only good things about that event. So if it falls at the right time of year, I would definitely enjoy going there if it didn't mean missing too much of the normal tour schedule.
Yeah, I think I saw here's the email I got about the Japan Open 2023. It's going to be in mid-May from the 12th to the 19th next year. It is not going to be PDGA sanctioned. So I think they made the decision that they're going to focus more on the, as they called it, the festival. What's the Mikuni? I don't know. Mikuni. Mikuni. The Mikuni Festival, which is a Japanese tradition spanning around 300 years. So I'll be curious to see what type of turnout it gets from any pros. If it's not a major, if it's not even an A tier,
there's no bonuses on the line.
Is it going to be a destination at all on 2023, or is it going to be literally just maybe the people that really want to travel to Japan to play?
What time of the year is it?
Mid-May.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably around the
West Coast Swing,
Masters Cup, West Coast Swing ish.
We'll have to see how it all lays out next year. Got to see the Pro Tour schedule first.
I mean, Innova just might. I was gonna say
you have to sign up by October 1st, so you might.
There might be an Innova only jet.
It's a bold assumption.
I'm just saying, Innova only players, and just a jet for you guys and gals to go.
That wouldn't make any sense. I don't know if Innova has enough players to qualify that. I think it would make more sense to have. I mean, they do. Obviously, Innova has a very large selection of players if you go down the ranks. But I do think it would be kind of interesting to see a Pro Tour scheduled jet if this were a Silver Series or something, and just have everybody pitch in to whatever it would be to charter. I don't even know what that would cost to charter a jet.
Just chartering international jets. Yeah. I don't know what the hell kind of money you're making.
Listen, Terry.
Kelvin's got my share.
I mean, if you nice guy.
He is. It's all part of a trade. I gave him some discs that he really liked.
Is that part of contract year, Calvin? Is that the whole thing?
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. And of course, from a cultural perspective and just from an experience, as Johnny was just saying, Johnny went in 2010. I went in 2010 and 2008. It truly was this incredible experience, and I know it's in a different location, but just the opportunity to get a bunch of disc golfers, and it's great because there's this crazy buzz about it already. As you said, that email that's come out that's kind of updating everybody that had signed up a couple of years ago. If it fits into the schedule and in the time frame, it would be awesome to see a large swath or a large collection of people heading over there again, if that's possible. All right, so that's what your next couple of weeks looks like, and then when you come back, you're right back on the tour, and then you go to the hills of the toboggan, and it's over to D-Glow. I know it's a few weeks off and all, but do you sense some legitimate hangover, and will all of our international players have a slight disadvantage to the people that stayed stateside? Wow, stayed stateside.
I mean, I think, I don't know, it really just depends on how well you can handle the jet lag, or how it's really going to depend on how good you are getting your sleep schedule back to normal. I think because all of us that are going over to Europe have probably played the toboggan enough times to where we already know what we really want to throw on most of those holes. So learning the course I don't think is going to be really the issue unless they changed it a bunch.
They did.
Well, we're all in trouble then. No.
They changed it slightly on a few holes.
Yeah, I don't think learning the course is going to be a huge issue. I think it's really just getting your sleep schedule back, and yeah, it also depends on when their flights are going out. I mean, I fly out Monday after European Open, and even that's probably going to be cutting everything pretty tight as far as getting back. I fly back into Chicago, then I got to drive up towards Detroit, Milford.
Detroit.
And Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I've never had to like really have a turnaround like that, and it's hard for me to really speak on it. But I don't think it's going to be a huge issue since I don't think there's a whole lot of learning a new course involved.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. If you're flying out, I think I'll be doing the same. You flying out Monday, you're actually getting back probably sometime Monday, of course, with plenty of jet lag, but we're gaining, quote unquote, gaining time coming back.
Yep.
And then you're going to have that 5-ish hour drive over to Milford, which you'll probably be doing Tuesday, and maybe one practice round might be all that it is, and then some press conference and whatnot. But I'm guessing that you guys are mostly going to be good to go. But
Yeah, maybe a few shots worse than we would have been if we had the entire week
Sure.
and no jet lag. But yeah, I'm sure it'll all be fine. And really, if you don't feel like playing in the event, why not just drop it?
yeah,
I don't know. Don't play it.
I mean, what did you think of that? And I don't know if you saw or if you heard the quote specifically, but a couple weeks ago, Paige was talking about the tour and playing, and we know she's taken a very different approach this year specifically, and she's really backed off on her schedule. But she even referenced Germ, and Germ had said something to the effect to her of like, I just I don't even feel like being here. I don't feel like playing. And Paige's response to him was, then don't. Like, no one's forcing you to. Don't play. Just enjoy yourself. Take some time off. I feel like you're kind of echoing just that, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't feel like, whether it's mentally or physically capable of playing the event to your best ability, it's probably not the best place for you to be. You should probably be somewhere else and getting yourself ready for the next one, because, I mean, showing up, like, sure, maybe you'll make some money but for participating and, like, shooting okay, but shooting okay isn't going to really do anything for you in the long run. And I think making sure your head's where it needs to be is probably a little more important.
Speak to that personally about your health, because we've heard you talk about your back. We've seen you take, very rarely, we've seen you take a little bit of time off here and there. So speak to where your health is right now, and is it almost always your back when you're talking about your health?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm good. Typically, if there's any serious issue, it's probably somewhat related to my back. But yeah, everything's pretty much fine now. I think everyone probably has some kind of weird nagging / reoccurring injury that pops up here or there. A lot of repetitive motions in disc golf, so just managing that and making sure you're good to go is how it is. But yeah, I haven't really taken too much time off as far as disc golf goes. I mean, since I've been touring, I've played the majority of the Elite Series events. There aren't too many that I've missed. So yeah, I'm not sure if I've really, I don't know. I don't even know if I have missed one due to.
Yeah, and I guess maybe with you specifically, I think too, your philosophy about not necessarily taking on some of the Silver Series events, which clearly are more crucial to the people that really need those additional points or have an opportunity for those points. I mean, let's face it, those are a lot of the people that just simply aren't finishing as high as you as regularly. Yeah. So you're making a conscious decision to not play in those Silver Series events, and maybe that's where I'm thinking you're taking some time off.
Yeah, I definitely don't play all the Silver Series events. I think I don't think they're really that important. It's not like something that, like, obviously if it's like your first win, it's like the B tour, like it's like, and that's awesome, but it's like once you've won something more, it doesn't really feel like much. I mean, I won one of those last year at Vintage, and it didn't, I don't know, it doesn't, like, I went to the tournament and it doesn't feel the same. You're not competing for the same stakes, and really it's just like once you've achieved something greater, you're just trying to achieve the next thing. And I don't think going to every Silver Series event and being tired and just frustrated playing every week is really what I need to be doing. I need to play the events that I still feel like I'm competing for something at, that I feel is, valuable, and that's the majors and the Elite Series at this point. And typically if I play a Silver Series, it's because I like the courses. And if, yeah, I just don't think the points are really there for me to where it matters, and I could better use that time to get myself healthy mentally and physically.
And that makes a lot of sense for someone of your caliber, as you're saying. The Silver Series for maybe some of your mid-level players who haven't won an Elite Series but are on the tour regularly, and I'll pick on him because I just watched this video. Someone like an Ezra who hasn't quite won an Elite Series, has been up in the top 5 or 10, but a Silver Series where he might need those extra points to get into the tour finale because of where he tends to finish, or his partner in crime Brody, someone like them. A Silver Series does make or could make or break your season to get into that Pro Tour finale and give you the Nathan Queen chance.
Yep, for sure. Anything can happen once you get to that Pro Tour finale. I feel like a lot of the times the winner does come from like one of the first rounds. So, getting in is the first goal. And if you need to play those Silver Series to get in, that's what you have to do. Because I think you're able to count a few of them, maybe 3 of them this year. I don't know, but they're only worth a quarter point, so it's really, if you're like right on that bubble, maybe it can make the difference.
One of our favorite people on the board, Stupid Idiot, says, "Yo, Cal, can you please win Worlds and USDGC?"
Dang.
That would be sick.
That would be sick.
I mean, can you do it?
Yeah. Can you make that promise right here on Smashbox TV?
I cannot promise that I will do that. I can promise that I'll try.
Gosh, that sounds like a cop-out. So without me even realizing, and I pulled up the Pro Tour standings. I realized I was doing that, but I didn't realize you're leading.
Yeah.
Did you know that? And does it matter right now?
No, it doesn't really matter right now.
I mean, it does kind of for certain things. Match play, not the Pro-Am, but you need to be in the top whatever to get into match play, don't you? So.
Yeah, you need to be in the top whatever at a certain point to get invited to the match play. But really, at this point, there's still a lot of room for fluctuation. It's like your people's worst events are still like going to be counted. Some people haven't even filled out and played enough events to create their totals, I guess. Yep. And then, it's like there's still a lot of moving to be done. Like we still have, I don't even know how many events left, but
40 or something like that.
Quite a few.
If you had your choice, I mean, obviously you want to finish it the best you can all season long.
Mm-hmm.
But going into the Pro Tour finale, you said yourself, some of the winners tend to come from the early cards, whether they get on, whether they're feeling hot or just extra course practice. Would you like to start playing maybe not first round but second round instead of skipping, or do you like to have all the bye you can get?
I mean, I still think your chances are greater. Like not having to play around, like only so many people are moving on each round, so it's still better to have the buys. It's just the way it seemed to have turned out so far. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I really don't know why that's the case, but I know Chris Dickerson's won from the first round a couple of times, or I believe it's from the first round. I don't know what round Nathan started in. It might have been.
I think Nathan was a first rounder. Dickerson did first round one year, and maybe he had a first round bye one year when he won.
Yeah.
I don't recall for sure. It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been so long ago, those don't count.
But, yeah, I'm not really sure why it's happened that way, but I definitely would rather just have the buys and try to win from there.
Should we, and I don't have any idea if this is changing anytime soon or not, but should we continue to see the Pro Tour Championships conclude and take place down there in Charlotte? How do you feel about that venue?
Like, should it stay there forever?
Yeah, or the next 5 years.
I mean, I like the course a decent bit. I do think it wouldn't hurt to move it at some point. I feel like the course is a little repetitive in the shots that you're asked to throw. So if you're kind of dialed on a singular shot, that it's like kind of like as far as a righty goes, it's like a hyzer flip up backhand that maybe finishes a little right. If you have that shot like super dialed in, you're going to score super well out there. And I don't know, typically when courses do that, you see one person kind of run away with it because they just are super dialed with the single disc. And I'm not a super big fan of that. I think that's there's another course that immediately comes to mind that does that we play. We've only played it once, Northwood Black. I feel like that course kind of does the same thing where there's like a certain disc slot that if you're super dialed in, you just kind of throw the same disc over and over again, and you can score pretty well out there. And yeah, I don't, and obviously those shots are very difficult to execute, and if someone's executing that over and over again, that's amazing. They probably deserve to win, but I think it doesn't really test a variety. So I would like to see maybe some changes on the course, or if we continue to stay there, maybe some hole changes so there's be a little more variety.
And Charlotte has a lot of options. It feels like the Pro Tour is in Charlotte. I don't want to say primarily because Charlotte's a phenomenal establishment, but it's so close after USDGC, and USDGC has such a, at least it used to, maybe it doesn't feel that way anymore, a release after you're done with that. Like, it used to feel like, oh, I'm done with the season, but now we have this Pro Tour finale. It kind of feels like the Pro Tour finale is your finale now, so that you're not getting that same letdown after the USDGC, but nobody really wants to travel too far. It's not like you can put it 600, 700, 800 miles away and still maybe get everybody there. Or maybe you can now because of the clout that it pulls and the money that they have. Maybe they could, we'll just play pretend, say in, and don't attack me, web board, but in an Emporia or in, we'll just say Texas or Kansas or Wisconsin, something like that, where it's going to be a couple-day, a 2-day drive, we'll say.
Yeah, that would be an interesting call, and if that doesn't happen, I essentially saying, are we handcuffed to within so many miles of Charlotte or so many miles of Rock Hill? I guess that's ultimately the question that comes from that.
It depends how close they want to keep it to USDGC. If they wanted just the next weekend or the 1 week break, I mean, the longer you can push it out, the further away you can go. But also, you're getting into that late fall weather. You're really limiting where you can have it. The further you get into that, coming up to Wisconsin in late October,
it could be snowing.
It could literally be snowing.
Yeah.
You
real
like
quick,
that, huh, Vinny? You ever played in snow?
Nope, don't plan on it.
Real quick, just because we're talking about him, and normally we don't even bring up actually standings until the last week or two, but Kelvin sitting in first, just 4 points ahead of Wysocki, Gannon Burr 40 behind that or so. Macbeth in 4th, Dickerson in 5th, Conrad in 6th, Simon Lizotte in 7th, and Joel Freeman currently sitting in 8th. And just for some parity, real quick, is it a fair question, or you look at FPO, and I'll read off quickly: Katrina, Paige, Valerie, Missy are your top 4. I mean, nobody's surprised by that, right?
I think Kristen will bump into there as soon as she fills out as many events as them. But,
True. Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be the biggest surprise. She's sitting at 6th, and she's missed events. So
yeah, I guess when you look at her record, she hasn't finished outside of 3rd at any event this year. Clearly, the consistency is like no other. She does sit 300 points behind Katrina, 260 or whatever the number is, but you're right. I mean, obviously a lot less events.
A lot less events, and we're starting to get to the point of the year where it's like Kristen will start to get a full total now that she's played less events. So, like, let's say she wins whatever.
European Open or Sula.
D-Glow. Or, yeah, even D-Glow when everyone comes back to that one. It's like she wins D-Glow and Kat maybe takes, like, 7th. Maybe the 7th doesn't even count for Kat. Kat's total doesn't move, and Kristen goes up 100 points, and she's made up a third of that deficit. And then, yeah, I mean, with the majors, I don't know if U.S. Women's, yeah, I mean, that's one of their majors, so I'm assuming that counted for 150% points.
Mm-hmm.
Kristen did not attend that, so she missed out on a huge total there. I mean, Kat might have... Where did Kat finish? 5th or something?
4th, tied for 4th or so.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know exactly what the points is there, but I know that's 150%, so she got over 100 points at that event, so...
Yeah, she got 99.75 for her tie for 4th, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But, I mean, to Kristen's, so to speak, advantage, Pierce, who would have been another likely front runner, only, picked up 42 points. So clearly didn't make any substantial ground or distance herself whatsoever when it came to performing. Now, of course, they have a few more majors to compete with this year. But, yeah, it will be interesting to see how it shakes out. And like you said, Kristen Tatar, It's sneaky. You want to speak of, you said sneaky distance. She's in a sneaky position where top 3 at every event. Clearly, she's just going to continue to rack up points. There's nothing saying she couldn't win the Disc Golf Pro Tour standings. In fact, I think the numbers would have to be on her side, assuming she's going to play all the events we expect her to see yet.
She's
numbers.
She plans on. She'll fill out that schedule with events because we're only allowed to count so many of them. It's not like a complete total. So
yeah, and Tatar's plan is to come back for Worlds, I believe, and then make it the rest of the way.
So pretty crazy. It would be great to see. And then and our guest, who I have not heard from, so hopefully all our travels are going well. And she may not get to a point where she can check in with us tonight. She was hoping to be able to, as Haley was traveling from Wisconsin down to Kentucky. But to see, because she's taken so much time off herself, Haley only has 450 points at the moment because she's only played in 7 or 8 events. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 events. Of course, she had the 4th at LVC to open the year, and the 1st just this last weekend, and a little smattering of everything in between. So we'll see, how much more we see Haley and what she, she's not planning on going to Europe, I don't believe. But that means she might be a little bit fresher for both Idlewild and then also when we do have the D-Glow. So
yeah, she's been very vocal about skipping events and just maintaining a good, sort of mental health, but just in general, a good attitude and freshness on the course for what she's doing.
And Derek asked a very, very fair question. Darren Eck said, did you for sure have the correct contact info for Haley? And this time I absolutely did.
Sure.
We exchanged a few messages back and forth on Instagram. And yes, she yeah, I didn't get catfished or trolled in this case. But she did say she was traveling. She wanted to spend as much time with her family as she could when she was here in Wisconsin, and then is traveling to get down to Idlewild. So, again, I can totally understand if it's something that she's not able to. I just figured there's no way we could skip the opportunity to talk to our U.S. women's champ if she could join us. And quite honestly, I think we were clear about it, quite a surprise you were in town. So it was great to have you.
Yep. Sometimes you get stuff shipped to Terry's house and you got to pick them up.
Let's go there for a second.
Oh, jeez.
Let's go there for just a second.
Life on the road?
Life on the road, but I'm thinking when you wanted to get stuff, and honestly, I just assumed, I don't know why, but I just assumed it was going to be shirts. Like you needed some fresh shirts that you were going to be taking, you were going to be traveling overseas, and maybe, somebody was printing them up, putting some Innova logos on some shirts, and you were going to have a fresh set of shirts. A box arrived at my house today, and then you and I arranged. You had to come up from our good buddy Dynamites. You were spent a few days down in the Joliet area in Illinois, and you came up. I handed you the box. You opened it up. Tell the world what was in there.
I got some shoes. Bought a couple pairs of shoes off of eBay. So got some new Nike Frees.
Now, do they make those shoes anymore? Is that why you're buying them off eBay, or
I just buying the old ones, so yeah, I'm buying the 2017 ones or something. So
okay,
so it's an older model with a little more pizzazz, a little more flair to them. Is that why you like the older model, or did they change up the shoe?
They're comfortable for me. I think the soles on the newer ones are a little different. So I just like the old ones, and as long as I can find them, I'll continue to use them.
All right. So is this an opportunity to say to all the adoring fans out there to be on the lookout? We're looking for free, like FREEZE.
FREE Flynet. No, there's no Z.
It's just free.
Nike free. Okay, free.
Flynet 2017.
Flying.
No.
Flyknit.
Yeah, it was like a K.
Okay. Flyknit.
Yep.
It's like a spelling test for Terry live on the air.
Yeah,
I'm trying to make sure I understand the words.
I think it might be 4.0. That might be
the 4.0s. Wow, I mean that's already in my Google, suggestions.
Yeah.
Men's. And what size shoe do you wear?
Either a 12 or a 13.
Okay.
Just depends on the shoe.
So just to put this all in perspective, I mean, and honestly, it's a question we get asked all the time. people, I put a post-production or even live, and people are like, oh, what's so-and-so wearing? I've seen that question asked actually all the time. And so now we're getting down to business here as to what
we've got some players that have shoe sponsors like IDEO and things like that. And last time I checked, you were not sponsored by Nike yet, but
no, I'm not sponsored by Nike. That's why I'm buying their shoes on eBay.
I know. But that is,
how's your luck been with Poshmark? I feel like that's an untapped resource for you.
Yeah, I have not ever bought shoes there. That is an untapped resource.
Yeah, so if you want to get on Calvin's good side, buy some of these Nike Frees, and then we'll, I don't know, send them
to Terry's house.
Yeah, because they won't fit me, and so trust me, I won't be stealing them.
How long does a pair of shoes like that last you? Because we've seen some of the great video of you contorting your foot in those shoes. You don't seem to wear them.
How do they contain you?
Super
is
tight.
The real question.
I don't know. Do they contain me?
I don't know. Do you rip them out?
Contain you.
How long? Yeah. How long did they last?
The top, they never really rip out. I mean, I pretty much wear them until a hole wears down in the foam on the bottom. So they typically last a pretty long time.
Okay.
Way longer than people think. I also just don't think I don't know. I don't think I necessarily drive into the ground or pivot the same as everybody. Or a lot of people because...
Or toe drag or anything like that?
I definitely drag my toes. I'll tear a hole in the top of the shoe first. And actually, I wear down my left shoe before I wear down my right shoe. Every time.
Okay.
And it's not because I throw more forehands. It's because I drag my left foot behind me when I throw. But, yeah, I don't even remember what the question was. But
just how long they last you
in
general?
Yeah, I don't know. I would probably say 3 months, 2-3 months, probably.
You go hard.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, 3 months. I mean, I understand you're a professional and you're out there playing a lot, but 3 months does not sound like a long lifespan for a set of shoes for our...
Yeah, but imagine playing disc golf all the time. All day, every day. And imagine what your shoes would look like in 3 months.
Yeah, no. Jacob on the board says, Jacob, I believe from Wisconsin here, says, why do you play in those? They have zero support. And you said, you drive your foot differently? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I could ask why so many people play with the aggressive treaded hiking shoes. How do you pivot? I don't know how you do that. I've tried it. I can't open up my hips when I play with a more aggressive treaded shoe. And I also just hate heavy shoes. So most of the time you talk about support, you're talking about a heavier shoe than what I'm wearing, and I can't pick up my feet already with a shoe that weighs almost nothing. So imagine how bad it would be if I...
I'm with you. I prefer a lighter shoe, and playing in Wisconsin, you can't always do that because once it gets to be fall and winter, warmth is more important than comfort. So, if you're trekking through a very, very muddy environment, or if you're off the fairway a lot, you may need a slightly different style of shoe. Or if you're playing in 3 inches of snow or negative 10-degree weather, it's clearly a lot different. So, but for you, as you said, you have zero interest in that, and you don't throw off the fairway very often. So those shoes make a lot of sense for you.
Have you, and I'm going to refrain from any Paige or Grady shoe jokes then, but have you, as long as I laugh, that's all that matters, have you had any conversations with our friends over at IDEO Sports? Have they talked to you? I know they've kind of talked to a number of players, and is that a shoe that might align with the things that you need or are looking for? Have you had that conversation?
I've not worn a pair of their shoes. Don't think I've talked to them before, but... And if I have, I don't remember. But yeah, I've seen some people wearing them out on the course. It'd probably be cool to try a pair on at some point, just see kind of how they feel, or just even get to look at one a little closer when it's not on someone's foot. Get a little bit better idea of how they're made and how heavy they are, and look a little closer about how aggressive the tread is. Because, as I said, when I have super aggressive treaded shoes, I can't really open up my foot. It just sticks, and then everything, your hip's going to blow out eventually. So
yeah, I was going to say that can't be good for your ankle, knee, or hip or something if you're not able to freely move the way you like to.
What is, I mean, maybe this goes to the next question, and we've seen a few of them throughout the year or years on the Pro Tour. What is your favorite teeing surface in a perfect world on your dream course? What's the teeing surface?
Honestly, a good concrete pad is probably my favorite teeing surface. I feel like pavers a lot of times can be kind of iffy as far as just keeping them level, and they also tend to grow like weird algae on them for whatever reason, and get pretty. You can see those get pretty slick. And then turf can be really good, but can also be really bad depending on how they lay it down, how tall the turf is. I've played on turf pads where the turf was like so tall, it's like you step and like as it's compressing, your foot's moving sideways. Like it, like the actual turf is like super stiff and it just bends at the bottom. So you're planting and your foot's like shifting. And
do you win a playoff like that?
I was just gonna say.
I'm just joking.
I don't know. Did I?
Did you have a reaction? I know it's a little bit old news. Did you have any reaction when there was a comment made about that? And I mean, you saw. Well, people could see obviously in the replay, and some saw it real time. Did you have any reaction to that? Noticing that the turf had come up on Macbeth when you smashed him in that playoff and made him your.
Made him what?
Nothing. When you outperformed him.
To be honest, like in the moment, I didn't know anything about that tee box. It was more of an after thing that I learned about. I actually think Paul might have even told me that he'd said something to me walking up to the tee about it, but I don't remember that. So
in the zone.
Yeah, I mean at that point, that sucks for Paul. Granted, it's probably good I didn't hear it, but honestly, I don't really have issues with the teeing surfaces as much because I don't have those aggressive treaded shoes that are really driving and then grabbing the turf. So I think my plant is a little different than his. So it's going to be a little harder for me to have that issue.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean,
we've seen other
you
players
don't whine and complain, and you're calling him. I know. We hear you.
We've seen other players that have taken different approaches depending on the teeing surface. You know, if it's if you are playing in a lot of heavy mud, you can see players maybe will go to a forehand instead because there's a little bit less movement. You don't have to worry about slipping on tee pads, or depending on what the surface is, can sometimes affect or determine what type of shot you decide to throw, for better or worse.
Yeah.
So also going back to that just for a moment, were you a tad emotional?
Probably.
I mean,
you've been
more than. I mean, you've been memed in that you have this very stoic approach, and you're pretty straight faced when it comes to a lot of things, except for maybe Conrad's throw in.
No, or your own throw in recently at the preserve. You got a little animated there.
But I'm looking specifically at that playoff. There was, and God bless you, we loved it, but it felt like there was a little additional emotion and maybe even tremble in your voice.
Yeah, I mean, it had been a long time since I had actually won an event or felt like I won. Like, I don't know, I won, like the prior year I'd, tied for Idlewild or Ledgestone, and I can't remember what event it was. But
it was called.
Yeah, the event got called and I was tied with Rickey. It doesn't really feel like anything and whatever. Like, sure, I have the trophy, but it doesn't feel like any of the other wins. And like match play, when I won it last year as well. I mean, I get these other formats are cool, but I don't know. Things getting reset, it just doesn't feel the same as like going out to a tournament and grinding out every round, knowing every shot matters, and coming out on top, throwing less shots than anybody else. So, yeah, it had been a while. It was literally the time before that, I think, that like I really had that feeling was Jonesboro at the end of 2020. So it had been a while, and yeah, it definitely felt good to finally get that feeling again. So yeah.
Is there something to be said about Jonesboro? I mean, we talk about, who has advantages there. And I always say I think anyone that throws far has an advantage at every course, just naturally. But
yeah.
A place like Jonesboro, does it set up that much better for your game than, we'll say, most of your competitors? I
feel like Jonesboro, yeah, it definitely benefits to throw far. I I also get to bust out the fairway driver a decent bit at Jonesboro, which isn't like you throw far. It's just there are some holes that may be considered like some bonus birdies that I get to throw a fairway driver, and I'm really comfortable with the fairway driver. So I typically score pretty well on those holes, and then I can score well on the holes where you kind of have to let a driver go and go far. So yeah, I play well at Jonesboro. I've played the event maybe like 4 times, and I think the first time I went and played, I didn't play necessarily great at the event. I was probably somewhere around like 20th place, and that was back in 2019. But since then, I've played really well there. I think I've gone like first, second, first. So
that's
I definitely play the course well. So I would have to say it probably suits my game pretty well.
Jumping ahead, you were just talking about discs, and you and I had a brief conversation about it, so let's get into it here. That we've seen a new disc hit the market, and break it down a little bit as to what that is, what it means to you, and give your plug for what the disc is and how it flies.
You talking about the Toro?
Yes, unless you have other discs we don't know about.
No, yeah. So the Toro is a disc that I got to help design with Dave Dunapace. I guess I didn't really do much of the designing. I just gave feedback on different iterations of the disc, and as far as feel and flight, and Dave Dunapace kind of takes the feedback, and he has a lot of experience, molding discs and having an idea of what kind of shapes are going to do what kind of flights. And some of the feedback that was given, between me and then some other pros was, I guess, probably a little surprising to him. I think there was a couple things that he thought would go a certain way and that didn't. But eventually we landed on a mold. They made a new top, and we got the Toro. It's a overstable approach disc, kind of lower profile, beadless, and feels pretty good in the hand. Really good in the hand, and
does it go on any line you put it on? Yep, yeah. Any line you put it on feels good.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like I don't know. It's like
good for people of all ages and skill groups.
It's a utility disc. Like it's not gonna fly dead straight for you unless you go and hit a lot of trees for a while. Like I haven't gotten any to just like go dead straight yet. So it's definitely overstable. It's on the slower side. It's just like a good disc for backhand, forehand approaches that you kind of just want to swing in there and kind of settle nicely. Like instead of throwing your Firebird into the green and getting like that little skip or having to like play for the skip, like you can kind of throw a little more direct line and get it to sit a little softer.
Again, just for comparison's sake, I think of things like overstable harps. I think of zones. I think of maybe even a pig. How it's got a very different feel from a pig, but yet how does the stability match up? And we know, Rickey, for the longest time when sponsored by Innova, really, I feel like, put the pig on the map.
Yeah.
How does it feel? Pig, Gator, Cayman, all of those. Where does it all fit in the Innova lineup?
Pig is probably the closest thing in Innova's lineup. It just feels different in the hand than a pig. But as far as flight goes, pig is probably the closest thing. Maybe a little more overstable than the pig, at least the ones that they've run so far. It's possible if we get them to run them in like a pro or whatever, the Color Glow Pro or whatever Rickey's pigs are running, they might be a little less stable. And
can you do that? Ask them to run it in a specific plastic. Will they do that for you? I mean, if you would say, hey, I'd love to try this in the special glow sparkle.
I mean, he's leading the pro tour. They better do what he wants.
Can you request that and see if they'll do that for people? I mean, and then how many?
I mean, I could probably request that as like my tour series plastic at some point, but as far as just like a small batch run, not really. Machine time's hard to get these days.
Well, after you win Worlds and USDGC, I'm sure they'll then.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot of machines.
Every plastic you want.
Well,
we just have the Kelvin machine that's pumping out Kelvin Destroyers, Kelvin Eagles, Kelvin Toros. I mean, right?
More of these? This is last year's, but...
Yeah.
I guess we just have to win USDGC and Worlds. No big deal.
That's all you have to do.
No big deal. I like it. All right, let's. I'm going to take another quick look. I haven't heard from the account that's run by this person named Haley King.
Are you sure that's Haley King and not like Naily King or Maley King?
No. I believe that that we are all.
Well, we do have a little bit of other disc golf
yes.
news
Why
we
don't
can talk
Johnny?
about.
Why don't you rattle off some other things that we've seen, and then I'll touch on a few things as well.
Well, the other big news, I guess, disc golf related, Rickey Wysocki today got to throw out the first pitch for the Cincinnati Reds game. I don't know who they were playing today. I did not hear that. I don't know if it was.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
I don't believe it was the Cubs.
No, they were,
because Cubs Brewers are going on right now. And we have video of it.
We do. They're playing the Mets.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right. It's the Mets. So I haven't watched this yet. It's on
either.
Facebook, Bradchick. So are we betting he bounces it before home plate?
No way.
Ricky's an old baseball player.
He is.
I talked to him earlier. He offered me his extra ticket, but I told him.
What?
Right, strike right down the gut. Now they don't let him throw from the mound.
Yeah.
So you could joke about not letting him do that, but they literally don't let people do that for a couple of reasons. One, they don't want to
play that again.
Okay, we'll replay.
The catcher.
Catcher
like a
took
catcher
some heat.
error.
It was okay. It was a little outside.
Still, but very makeable or catchable ball there. I'm just gonna say, not impressed.
That's probably not the normal catcher. I don't know, Rickey. I mean,
either way, I'd throw it out to the board. Have we had a disc golfer ever do that before at an MLB game? Probably at
some minor league
some minor league stuff. But I wonder if we've ever. I can't imagine that we've had.
I don't believe. I don't.
You know what? I take that back. I wouldn't be surprised if
Dodgers?
a maniac, a Greg Hosfeld,
way back in the day,
had done it at some time. Just knowing that guy's history.
Sure.
I could see it.
I was really hoping, and I don't know how realistic it was, that he'd be able to maybe after the pitch go to home plate, grab a disc, and try to put one over the wall or something like that. Just
It'd be embarrassing if he didn't put it over the wall.
I mean, it's usually 380.
Yeah, 410 to the corners, 360, 380 to the corners, or 404 to the.
He could easily do
center.
it.
Yeah,
but I mean,
it would be embarrassing for Rickey to not clear the wall.
It would be. Would you take that option? Major league game, you get to throw the first pitch. It's awesome. And they say, hey, would you like to try to throw one over the wall?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Okay. And then, hey, look, there's the green monster.
It might be harder than the green monster. I don't know.
Yes. So very cool to see out there. Congratulations, Rickey. One thing I'm actually surprised and very surprised about and almost impressed with is when it was posted that it was going to happen. There was a great graphic that was made from it. Just knowing our disc golf community, I thought you'd immediately just see your typical trolling and naysaying. I'm like, oh, I should go do it for a real team, or like just anything stupid, anything to possibly detract from the cool experience.
I like that you always look for the positives.
I'm just saying that's what I genuinely expected, and for what I saw, I was actually impressed. Congrats to our disc golf community that could see the positive that it was as a unique experience. Obviously, Rickey being from Ohio, sure, maybe it's not your favorite town or team, and maybe it's not the one he grew up in, but the experience is what mattered, and I think that's pretty cool to see. So
yeah, Tim on our board mentions that he was on Cincy Sports Radio as well, promoting disc golf and getting to throw the first pitch as to why he was doing it, I believe. So pretty
cool. I know the other day when I saw him at Askren's, he had said apparently he had done something with NPR. Him and Paige were walking up a fairway, and then at one point he's like, yeah, NPR. Have you ever heard of that, Terry? It seems like it's a big deal. I'm like, yes, it is. NPR is a big deal, and it is pretty cool. So if there was some kind of tie or you got some additional exposure on there, yes, congratulations to him. A couple birthdays, because I love shouting those out. Andrew Zimmerman just had a birthday. We missed him at the Celebrity. His birthday was, I think, just yesterday on the 4th. Kevin McCoy celebrating a birthday today, a longtime Smashy. And then the two up-and-comers who we have talked about quite a bit this year, the Linz twins, Jordan and Morgan, celebrating a birthday today. So
both of them?
I think so. I think that's usually how that's, not all the time. But that's usually how twins' birthdays work. Is they come in on the same day more often than not. So yes. So happy birthday to all of them. All right. Now what do you talk about?
Vinny, what do you think? What in disc golf has caught your eye? Anything? Have you had a chance to look in what's going on in the area, or the area of disc golf, so to speak, not necessarily Wisconsin, but we saw, I believe, Gannon Burr threw in an ace today on skins. Did you see that?
Yep, I was there for that.
Oh, you were there for that?
I was there for that. I wasn't playing, but
it was preserve. That's right.
Nope, it was the following.
BRP.
It was at BRP.
Oh, it was BRP.
But it was right after the preserve.
Sure.
Yep. I was out there at that skins match, and yeah, he aced the final hole. Spoiled it for you guys.
It's been out there. I think most people know.
Sorry if you haven't seen it yet. The entire back nine pushes, and he hits an ace. He's the last guy to throw on the last hole, and he aces. I don't remember exactly what hole number it's on. It might be 24 or 27 out there at BRP, the island hole.
Yep.
And pretty much if he didn't put it on the island or make it, they were all going to go to Greg Barsby. So.
Oh, because he was on the island?
Yeah, 2 people had thrown out of bounds.
Okay. Ouch.
Greg Barsby was the 3rd person to tee. He put it to like 15, 20 feet. And Gannon...
So the basket got in the way?
Pretty much, yeah. Probably would have been out of bounds.
If you missed the basket, you're probably going out of bounds there.
Yeah, he did throw a putter, but the basket's super close to out of bounds. I'm pretty sure it was a putter. It was a slow disc. But
it was his very first ace he's ever had.
Yeah, I think he was saying
Seriously?
It's his very first shot ace, maybe.
Really?
I don't know, maybe... Yeah.
It seems almost impossible to believe with how good he is and how long he's been playing.
He's only been playing for a few years. He's 16 or 17 now. He's only been playing for like 3 years.
Longer than that. But
no, he's been playing longer than that.
Yeah,
They've seen pictures of him.
He's 13. No?
I was going to say 12 or 13,
12?
but he was also 1,000 rated
Correct.
in 2019. So he's obviously been good, I guess, is what we're saying.
Right.
Huh.
And as you said, maybe it's just a first throw ace where you walk up to the pad. I mean, I'm sure he's probably put them in from tee pads before, but maybe when in an event that actually counts, like, hey, I'm walking up to this hole, or maybe first tournament ace. I don't know.
No, I think he was saying it's his first ace.
Wow,
but I think maybe it's him considering first shot.
Sure, that would make sense.
Wow, that is certainly incredible. Real quick, I'm going to backtrack for a moment and talk a little bit about what we did see for the U.S. women's this last weekend. Of course,
some of the other winners.
Yeah, I know we talked about it almost at great length throughout the broadcast, but I don't feel like it can really be said enough how incredible the overall experience, the vibe here in Wisconsin. Wisconsin 98 is when we hosted an Am Worlds. 2007 we hosted another Am Worlds. 2016 we hosted Am Worlds yet again in Wisconsin. We also hosted Pro Worlds in 2007. So we've had a few of these large scale events, but then of course just this last weekend having the U.S. Women's a PDGA major. We already talked about Haley King, but really a lot of the stories were 320-ish women when it was all said and done, which breaks the record for the amount of competitors. And then, we fluctuated anywhere between 89 and 100 FPOs. It looks like it officially ended on 89, but there was, even just going into the event, there was more than 90. And that's crazy because it was just a few years ago, 90 was the record amount of total women at the tournament. And then this weekend, we had 89 or 90 just in FPO. So very cool to see. As we scroll down, I'm going to quickly read off some of our winners, all of the winners. Jennifer Allen won in FP40, and she did so handily by 10 strokes, picking up her major. Barrett White, if you're from the Midwest, you're used to her name. She wins all the time, everywhere. She won handily in FP50. Peggy Berry won FP55. Camouflage Renicky won in FP60. Congratulations to her, a Florida representative there, along with Calvin. Sandy Gast, another Florida takedown. Pam and Sandy are 1 point away from one another, but age just a little bit off, so they're in two different divisions. Jenny Darling in FP70. Emily Yale took it down in advanced women, which I think she did largely in her third round is where she gained the difference. Kim Keene, who's a Madison and Wisconsin local, who Johnny and I very much played with and knew growing up. So Kim Keen in FA40. Aaron Fitzpatrick in FA50. I'm going to start getting these confused. Barb Blow, who I believe is out of northern Wisconsin, took it down in FA55. Congrats. Janice Jones, FA60. Patricia Newprid Meals took it down in FA65. Patty Adams, FA70. Katie Chacher in intermediate women.
Wait, where is she from?
She's from Salt Lake City, Utah.
Okay, cool.
Why? Did you think you knew who I was talking about?
I thought I knew who you're talking about. I do not.
You do not. Jillian Geiger won in recreational women. Caitlin Borgwart, who's from Milwaukee and is
engaged.
Incredible. No, don't go there. Oh, this is going to get awkward. Dustin.
Sorry, Dustin.
Caitlin won. Congratulations, Caitlin. K-Bomb took it down, which she did on the last round. Therese Quavez? I know I heard it pronounced like 6 times and I still didn't get it. Therese Quavez in junior 15 and Anthony Quavez, I hope I got them both right, in junior girls 10 and under. So I think I nailed all 19 of those divisions, I believe. And so congratulations to all of them. Really awesome to see. Again, 19 divisions, 318 is what it was officially listed as. Pretty cool for sure. Love it. Real quick, I'm also going to say, if you are part of, if you feel like you need to wake up in the morning and go to Twitter and challenge the sexual identity of a 10-year-old girl playing at the U.S. Women's, you need to fuck yourself. And I can't say that strong enough. It's so pathetic.
Disheartening, sad. All of it
on so many levels. I can't say it strong enough. We can all have very valid conversations about transgender acceptance and identity and competition. All of those are very real conversations that we absolutely need to have, that are continuing. And I understand that's a large part of the voting for the PDGA. I understand it's very passionate about a lot of people, myself included. We can have all of those very civil, logical conversations, even though we're not all experts in HRT and in testosterone and puberty and estrogen and genetics. I'm not claiming to be all of those conversations absolutely can and are happening, and I'm 100% behind them happening. But if you are a piece of trash that feels like you need to go onto Twitter and challenge the sexual identity of a 10-year-old competing at the U.S. Women's, I just don't know how you live with yourself. And I, sorry to make this awkward for you, Kelvin, if you're sitting here listening. I saw it today. Whether you're calling out somebody by name or you're making assumptions because of the way someone's dressed or what their nickname is, and you don't have the facts. That's even what's the most disgusting part, is your facts and your posts are inaccurate, and therefore you're challenging the sexual identity of a 10-year-old girl. And I just cannot say it enough. Like, it's absolutely disgusting. And transgender conversations and inclusivity needs to happen, and I get all of that. We can have heated debates about that, but know what the F you're talking about when you think you're going to challenge a 10-year-old girl playing at an event. And I'm going to try and leave it there. So
I was going to bring it up in the after show.
Well, I don't care.
That's fine.
I was talking about the competitors playing, and it was a disgusting moment, and to not have the decency to even apologize when you've been the way you've been about it, and everybody that's out there, you can figure it out. But yeah, I had to say it because it's just disgusting. All right, go out and vote.
Go, yeah.
And that will segue for a brief moment. I know we talked about it this weekend. PDGA ballots are happening. We have board of directors. There's a lot of different, very legitimate conversations taking place, as I said. I encourage you to not only learn about our candidates and align with whoever you align with. I fully support all of that, whatever it might be. Be an educated voter. I would just beg of people, even though a conversation about transgender athletes within disc golf is a major topic of conversation right now, try to look past just that being your main single item agenda. I understand it's important to a lot of us for a lot of different reasons, even people that are 100% 180 degrees opposing on it. I just say look to these candidates. You can look for that, of course, and how you may align, but look for even more than that. There's more than literally one subject in all of, or one topic that is part of disc golf right now. So I would beg of you to look into all of the things that make up the candidate that you want. You may agree on one item or disagree, but look at them entirely when you're making your votes as well. Sound good?
And remember, you can find a lot of the interviews out on the PDGA's podcast. They are releasing them. I think there's been, I don't know if all of them have been released or it's about half of them.
I think they've had opportunities, and I'm going to be the first to admit, I know Calvin's doing this. Tomorrow, when I drive to Idlewild, any information that's out there about all of the candidates in terms of something that's downloadable, I'm going to download it all and listen to every single one of them. I'm going to do that on my way to Idlewild because I'm going to have that time. Calvin already said he's downloading them all and listening to them when he flies over to Norway. You said that?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I just said it in my head.
No,
let's throw Calvin in the middle of this.
I'm just saying, but make an educated vote. That's obviously the ploy I'm making for. I don't care who you vote for, just make it an educated vote, whatever that might be. So I will be downloading and listening to them all.
I just vote whoever the shortest name. It's easiest that way. Wow. Just do. I can't read them any letters. I mean, come on. Or alphabetical. Sometimes that makes it easy.
There you go. Well, lowest PDJ numbers. Got to be the rightest.
Got to be the smartest person because they're the oldest, right?
Certainly not.
Oh, my gosh.
Calvin.
Terry.
If you could wave your magic wand.
Oh, God.
Does this need to go into the after show?
It doesn't. This is an honest question of sprinkle some dust or wave a magic wand. What's like one thing that you think is very, very addressable or fixable within disc golf that you'd just love to see happen? I mean, it can be super high level or intimate or, superficial. But is there any one thing that you're like, it'd be cool if this was not a thing, or this got addressed, or this got fixed? Anything like off the top of your head?
Anything off the top of my head?
It could be as generic as like, I wish all the flight ratings were actually a unified system and that they were all adhering to, one company or all adhering to one official standard as opposed to everyone having their own flight ratings. I mean, it could be as superficial as that. Is there anything? I just made that one up. All T's are concrete.
Yeah, better. I don't know. I guess having different team services doesn't really bother me, but I think the new Mando rule sucks.
Okay.
So I'd like that to be addressed and
because
redone.
It's confusing or poorly worded or difficult or
yeah. There's really people that don't know what the new Mando rule is or understand how it functions, and I just don't. I don't really think like restricted flying area is a real thing that can be judged most of the time, like from where someone's even standing. We can obviously tell where a disc lands, and whether that's inbounds or out of bounds, as long as that line's defined, which these days they're pretty clearly defined most of the time. There's a lot less controversies on that, I feel like, these days than there may have used to been, but the whole restricted flying space, I don't know what random little issue that was trying to address, but I think it overcomplicated things. I don't like the new rule.
Okay.
Is there something, and you talk with a lot of the pros, is that something that's uniform discussion? Are there other things that pros discuss? Would you like to see on the Pro Tour, even if it's not PDGA related, Pro Tour related? Is there something that you guys are all kind of like, man, I really wish they just did this, or we wish they'd change that? Is there anything out there like that for you guys? Because I know for a long time we saw like Avery Jenkins was very much dedicated to tee boxes and course things like that. Do you see anything like that on tour?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely we have our players groups where things are addressed as far as the people that are on tour can basically go to the people that are in charge and address issues, and we can all kind of talk about them there. But I don't think this Mando thing is necessarily on most people's care list. I think it's relatively tiny issue, but it was the first thing that came to my head that I thought was kind of dumb. But yeah, there's probably a lot more pressing issues that I can't think of at the moment that probably could do a lot more to change the game for the better. But nothing's hitting me right now. Maybe a single target on tour would be nice. But everyone has a different argument on what the best or the perfect target is, so it's hard to really.
What's your version, and it doesn't even have to be name brand specific, but what's your version of a perfect target for you?
My version of a perfect target is without naming any name brands.
Or name one, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a decent amount of good targets out there. I think as far as targets, I think like the new MVP basket that we got to play on at OTB was pretty good. I still like disc catchers. I mean, there's a lot of good baskets. I guess I don't like baskets that... I don't like the Mach X. I don't like baskets that you can throw it as hard as you want into. I don't think... I don't think that's really the purpose. Like, we're trying to throw it into the basket, not through the basket. Speed control. Putting is already kind of an easier aspect of our sport.
It's gotten easier over the last 15 years because of the baskets.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think it's just because of baskets. I think people are also putting a lot more time in practicing. But and I'm not saying old baskets are the solution, because there is definitely some like randomness to whether or not putts can stick. You know, it's kind of what angle you're at. But I think a Mach X kind of eliminates all kind of speed control from putting, and I think when you have like a pretty easy aspect of the game, like I just don't think you can eliminate something like speed control. So I think basket, like some thought needs to be put into like how heavy chains need to be, whether they're different weights on inside versus outside. They can't be. I don't think they can be like these super dense cross patterns, because it prevents someone that does launch it from like cutting through sometimes. And I'm not saying like every time someone throws it super hard at the basket it shouldn't stick. I'm just I think it shouldn't always stick. Like I think speed control should be part of our putting game, and the way baskets are slowly changing, it's not becoming a part, and that's why you're seeing people putt so hard. And I think it's kind of removing an element from putting, making it a little less dynamic. But that's my take. Everyone has their own take on what a good basket is and what putting should be. But when like you're always just kind of throwing it through the air, as opposed to where golf, like you're going over slopes and terrains, like speed control is a thing for them. So I think we should take something from their book, and speed control should be a thing for us, and it's a thing for them because the ball will just roll over the hole. In our case, it might spit through or back at you. But some of the new baskets, that's like impossible to do. You throw it hard and hit the middle, and it stays in every time.
A side note to that real quick. Shout out to Maria Oliva. She putts with some confidence, and she jams it in, and
Yes,
she
she
made
does.
a lot of, circle two putts and longer putts overall throughout the weekend. Her putting was was, in my opinion, just so fun to watch because, and I don't think, I'm not trying to say that she throws it too hard or that any of those shouldn't stay in or anything like that. I know that's kind of in this conversation. Just in general, though, watching her putt with the confidence and with the velocity in which she put on, like she's just not a timid putter at all. And it was really a lot of fun to watch it in person this weekend. Like, man, she just jammed another one.
And it's funny watching it compared to Own, because Own is very much just, it feels like all of her putts are about 6 millimeters over the top of the basket. You can tell she probably learned to play on different style of baskets, like you were saying, maybe some older baskets out on the West Coast where you couldn't hit them high or hard because there was a higher percentage chance of them coming out the back or spitting out and turtling out the side or something, as opposed to just getting them over the cage. But then again, when you get them over that, sometimes you run into the baskets with the nubs, and you'll get stopped with those, or it'll catch the backside and flip you out. So it's just way different putting styles.
Being down in Florida, a real quick question to that is, were you primarily putting on chain stars and maybe some Mach 3s and Mach 5s when you first started? Is that what you mostly found down in Florida when you started?
Yep, that's pretty accurate. I think that's what the baskets were. Local courses are disc catchers now, but back when I started, I think they were some version of the Mach or disc catch, chain stars.
All right, so one of the last questions we'll ask you in the regular show then is, there's always the comments, and I know it comes up especially a few weeks ago when we saw our AM Nationals champ, and step putting, jump putting is just a conversation that's arguably never going to go away. I feel like no matter what the rules or the iteration of the rules are, do you care about a circle 1 versus circle 2 identifier? Does 33 feet seem reasonable for circle 1? Should there be different putting rules at 33 feet or 45 feet or 66 feet? Do you have any strong opinion about all of the putting and the stances maybe that are taken?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean, as long as the distance is defined, it doesn't really matter. I know some people want to push the circle back farther for people to jump putt, but like, is that just to make putting harder, or it's not really going to solve the issue with jump putting? Is where like a lot of people are illegally putting, but it's impossible to call in real time. So, I mean, maybe I don't think pushing it back really solves the real issue of legal versus illegal putts, but it would make putting harder. I know a lot of people are much more confident, throwing that step putt. Just however they're able to get their body in a certain rhythm, it just makes sense for them. So
that kind of ties into your speed control as well. I mean, usually I see a lot of step putters, they're hitting, it's because they get the extra momentum and they can hit harder into the chains.
So who's cheating when they putt?
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I also don't. I also don't think it's necessarily the same person every time they jump putt. Sometimes it just depends. But,
yeah.
But I think there's plenty of times where like you can obviously roll back tape and you see people illegally jump putted. But like sometimes it's super close. Other times it's not even really that close. But like, regardless, all of it's so fast and it's super hard to like actually call it in real time. And like to call it, you have to basically be certain that it happened. So,
and that's the problem I have with the rule. We've talked about this numerous times. Just if it's a rule that everyone kind of knows is being broken, but there's no way to call it, and it's a bad rule.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't verify it.
Do you feel as if step putting versus jump putting, because step putting, let's be real, has become far more common in the last couple years. Originally it was like literally like 2 people, and then it continued. Now it's certainly picked up by a lot more people. Do you feel like step putting or jump putting, are there just as many violations on one or the other? Or do you feel like like 80% of step putts aren't legal and at least 10% of jump putts aren't legal? Do you have a distinction?
I don't think I have a distinction. I mean, there's definitely some very interesting photos of people jump putting where it's super obvious. But I I don't know. I feel like it would probably be easier to have a stance violation on a jump putt than like a step putt.
Okay.
But there are definitely plenty of violations on step putts where sometimes it's not the back foot. People sometimes have their front foot down before they putt. Other times it's the front foot's not down but the back foot's up. So like it's not even necessarily a consistent thing, and it's like you can't even just like solely look at the foot on the marker, because sometimes like the foot is behind the marker but the foot in front of the marker is on the ground as well.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen it all in some iteration or another. Well, thanks to Rickey Wysocki, the Cincinnati Reds did officially go on to win tonight, so we'll put that time stamp on it. They won.
Does he get the W in the...
Yep, Rickey gets the W. The Saki bomb gets the W. The Reds beat the Mets 1-0 tonight, and they did it in the bottom of the ninth. All right, making it all worthwhile. All right, I think we can close out the regular show unless there's any other
we'll talk
significant or pressing news. But other than that, it's probably going to be insights and BS from Calvin.
Insights.
Didn't we just get that?
No.
No, there's only one other thing. We'll talk about it in the after show. It's regarding the Disc Golf Pro Tour and this weekend's broadcast.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll do that. Well, guys, I'm going to continue to keep an eye. If Haley still happens to be around and does want to join, I'm guessing it's already midnight on the Eastern time zone. So if she did make it there, she's probably called it a night, or maybe she's already called it a night and stopped off somewhere else to rest. So hopefully we can get on another time. Similarly, I did reach out to Jenny Sanfilippo, one of the biggest just women's disc golf promoters that we have in the state of Wisconsin. She graciously said that she would join us some night. Tonight wasn't going to work out, and we had a little mixed schedule work the way it did. So we're going to have her on some night very soon as well. As we know, WGE, the women's global event, is going to be coming up almost in exactly a month. So I'd love to hear a little perspective from Jenny, who runs Ladies First, who you heard mentioned a few times this weekend. We're just one of the greatest women promoters that we have out there. She happens to also be right here in Wisconsin. So we'll catch up with her sometime soon. So I wanted to throw that out there. So we're going to close it out on a regular show for now. Tim says, is the Smashbox giveaway tonight a round with Calvin? Yes. He's giving you a free lesson in Norway. All you got to do is get yourself there, and you get a free lesson with Calvin.
Is it a disc golf lesson? Is it a hiking lesson? Is it a photography lesson? Maybe identifying bugs? There's a lot of different things Calvin can do.
What is it, Terry?
Whatever. It'll be Calvin's choice.
Oh,
it's a surprise.
Sorry, I didn't realize I didn't realize I put this prize up. So
Yeah,
I
sorry,
figured it was defined.
No, you just have to get yourself to Norway, and he'll give you the lesson.
Although for tonight, I'll give everybody about another 10 minutes to sign up for Patreon, because we've got a lot of options for giveaways tonight.
We do.
We have. Maybe we can give away a Calvin Heimburg signed destroyer.
What?
Yeah, right out of my stash.
Dang.
I have got a signed disc from all the celebrities at the Celebrity Pro-Am. So maybe we'll give that away tonight. Or we have...
Tell them what they've won.
A disc member box that just came in the mail today. So we'll get maybe some votes on the board to see what we want to give away tonight. One of these items.
We're going big. Calvin Heimburg's in the house. All right, we're closing out 410's regular show for Johnny V, Calvin Heimburg, and myself. We're going to have some more senseless banter and chit-chat in the after show. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the Smashbox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashboxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 410's After Show.
You didn't join in?
Come on, Calvin.
I don't think I've ever made it this far in one of your podcasts to know that existed. I think like any time I've made it that far in one of these podcasts was probably like I put it on when I was in bed and I passed out before then. So like I might have subconsciously heard it, but
That's all we can
obviously
ask for.
didn't register.
As long as we get the listen.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. As long as we get the download, that's what matters. We don't care if you listen or not. For Calvin and the rest of the world that may not know how the after show goes, we welcome you back immediately after our regular show. Here we are to further interact with you, usually through either the Facebook chat or the YouTube chat. Send us any questions or anything that you might have. Maybe propose something that's disc golf or non-disc golf related. We'll discuss it. We'll break it down. We'll regurgitate it and spit it back out at you. And Johnny, I wanted to start real quickly with something else we saw from the Disc Golf Pro Tour that was announced today that we're jumping into Zuckerberg's metaverse. Is that what we're doing? Maybe not Zuckerberg's, but the metaverse.
The metaverse.
That's not hashtag Zuckerberg, though. I mean, he owns Meta, right? Or something?
He does own Meta. I don't understand for
So
sure
meta,
if this
bro.
is metaverse. There's a lot of discussions about this so far. But
What did you see? What do you know?
Hold on, let me pull it up here. I had it up here. So the Disc Golf Pro Tour announced that they were partnering with a company called Kingdome NFT, a groundbreaking digital arena that will bring the tour's last round of the LWS Open at Idlewild to the metaverse on July 10th. So that's this weekend. And there is a read more. You can go to the DGPT's web page and look at the announcements. So more or less what this looks like, and I looked into it a little bit today. If you're a DGN subscriber, you're going to get a free ticket.
Boom.
So
Count me in.
if you're not, it's going to cost you $2.
Oh, man. I don't got that kind of money.
About $3.15. If
Still don't have
taxes
it.
and tickets. So anyway, what it is you can, if you have one of the, I think it's an Oculus or an Oculus Quest or one of the virtual environments, there's an app you can download, and with this ticket you can get in and be in a room to watch the final round on a screen. And based on the preview video that you kind of walk through, I can't tell if it's a group environment or just like your single little avatar with a chat in this particular environment, a chat for this environment, not necessarily like the YouTube chat, getting to watch this. And there's been a lot of discussions about, the NFT portion of this because it's a company that's kind of built on certain NFTs. You don't need any sort of NFT for this.
Unless you buy one from me.
Unless you buy one from Terry. In that manner, it's NFT. No fucking thanks. I'm not going to buy you an NFT from you.
I got the non-fungibles. Come on,
No,
come
you
get
don't.
one.
No, you don't.
Non-fungible Terry?
No.
That's not what it stands for. Non-fungus Terry? Negligible fungus on Terry. No? Okay.
I hope so.
No funds. No funds for Terry. So anyway, so it looks like this is just kind of an environment you get into. If it looks like what the preview video was, I don't see a lot of value in it, to be honest. I know it's only $2, so take that for what you will. You and I talked about this, probably 5-6 years ago on the podcast. I think when we first bought our a 360 camera for the very first time, that I think a really cool experience could be going into a VR room or something and being in an environment with a bunch of other people. So say you're in there with maybe just your friends. Maybe it's a public group where you have 50 people, kind of like a Discord almost. And being able to pick and choose who you chat with, who you can actually listen to talk. Things like that could make for a more community environment, as opposed to just sitting in front of a screen with a bunch of screen names. I do think there is something more, it's going to sound silly, but tangible about seeing an avatar out there. It's a little bit more personal.
Can you just blurt things out? Like how
I
does
don't know.
interaction work? That's what I'd like to know.
Well, I think for this is a chat board. I
Okay,
haven't
so
done
you're still
anything.
chatting.
I haven't done anything like this, but I do see a future where you could. And we talked about this for the podcast. It would be cool to have like little, fake little avatars of us and have a studio audience, kind of before we did the, the mini studio audience that's hanging up there. I don't know if that's what this is. And I'm not, unfortunately, going to get a chance to check that out because I'll be doing the broadcast switching here. But, I mean, it's $2. If you have an Oculus Quest, check it out. I mean, all the money goes to Uplay. 100% of the proceeds in this go to Uplay.
Okay.
So, if you decide that you're going to pay for this, at least the money goes to a good charity, a disc golf related one. We all know Zoe and how hard and her and Dustin and everyone works on that. So there's that. So I love that aspect of it. I don't know if, and the Pro Tour announced a partnership, and they're talking about future digital assets and other things like that. And I know the Pro Tour has been very hot and heavy on NFTs for at least 2 years now, year and a half, 2 years. Of course, the NFT market right now is kind of taking a big hit. A lot of them are not as valuable as they were, or some of them are, a lot of people say maybe scams or whatever. It, to each their own, and take a look at what you will. But I don't know. It's different. I'll say that. I love that the Pro Tour is getting different sponsors. So to go out and get another sponsor in a tech, at least in a tech forward industry, is a positive. So we'll see how it all pans out.
All right. Well, that was announced. So if you want to look more into it, you can. You can find the information on dgpt.com. Also, before we get into some
just
questions,
FYI, this particular thing has nothing to do with NFTs. Our particular, you don't need one. You don't have to have one. I know this company does a whole thing where you can buy an NFT and then maybe get access to other scenarios. This particular one, nothing to do with NFTs. It's just in their name.
Before we get into a few questions, we'll do some rapid fire questions primarily for Calvin, I guess, off the board. But I did want to just give an update. A few minutes ago, I did get a message from Haley saying, super sorry, traffic out here is terrible, and she's still not even there. So, of course, want her to continue to drive safely. I appreciate her reaching out, but she did just give me that update. So at this rate, if she stays super on fire, we maybe have a chance to talk to her right after Idlewild if she takes that down. So anything's possible. But yes, thank you, Haley, and hopefully she continues, like I said, just to drive safely and focus on where she needs to be and what she needs to do. So let's do some rapid fire off the board quickly.
I saw on Twitter a week or two ago, they were doing some celebrity lookalikes for a lot of the women. There's someone on the board, we won't let it die, so I'll talk about it, that's saying you look like John Francis Daly. Have you heard that before? Is there a different celebrity that people have said you look like? Or
put it up on the. Can you put it on screen, Johnny? Because I wouldn't have known who that was.
So John Francis.
Do you know him?
Oh, I've never met John.
I mean, you're better looking than he is. But
wow, thank you, Terry.
It's the people that will know him. Someone's saying the movie Waiting, but most people will probably know him
Waiting
from
to Exhale.
No, not Waiting to Exhale. That's different. Freaks and Geeks.
Okay.
Or he was a regular on the TV series Bones for like 10 years, I think. That's where I recognize him from, because my wife and I used to watch the show once in a while. And he was, like I said, he was also on Freaks and Geeks. So which is a very fun show.
Your take
back in the 90s.
Calvin?
I mean, I think
you see it?
Similarities.
I don't know. I'm looking at myself in the screen. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
The hair a little bit.
You tell me.
Has anyone said you look like a specific celebrity ever?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't pay too much attention to those, those things. So
all right.
I'm sure they have. I mean, I know people have, but could I recall what they said? Who they said I looked like? No.
Okay.
All right, we're going to read a few things that came in off the board. Evan, hope you're well, buddy. It was good seeing you this last weekend. You're welcome for the welcome, I guess.
I got to experience the USWDGC actually twice this weekend. I haven't been out to an event in probably over a year, to an actual event. I got to go out the first day on my own accord and walk around and hang out, kind of be your assistant.
You're my water boy.
I was your water boy. I literally carried your water and an umbrella in case we needed it. And I did slightly abuse my privileges of I did buy a spectator pass for the week, but I ended up just following you over by the catch cam quite a bit and working with Sam, who was doing our catch cam, and kind of showing him a few of the shortcuts on the course, because he didn't get a good chance to learn the entire course. So knowing Token like I did, it was very easy to say, oh no, here's the back path.
You're like, I know where we're off the fairway.
Trust me.
I've got this.
No, that's usually catch cam is past the basket. I never make it past the basket,
That's
Terry. So that was really exciting. And then the second day I got to go and experience it with my daughter, which is awesome because I got to see a whole bunch of the women and chat with them. And two funny things that we ended up sitting by hole 18 to finish off.
At Token on day 2.
At Token on day 2. For those of you that don't know my daughter, she has some special needs and isn't always the most appropriate with her words. We were sitting on, I think it was hole 9? The one that goes down the hill. It's like one of the longer holes into the woods, the little wooded area at the very end.
Yeah, 10.
10, thank you. There's a big pine tree. Someone was in the pine tree, and they threw and hit one of the trees right there, and my daughter just out loud goes, "Ooh, try again." And I'm just like, ugh.
She's not wrong.
No, she's not wrong. And it's just like, okay, yeah, well, okay, sweetheart, that's great. She did. I will say this, and friend of the show and one of your good friends, Calvin, Madison Walker came up, gave me a hug, said hi, and most of the people just said hi to Violet, but for whatever reason, Madison walked over to say hi. Violet opened up her arms and gave her the biggest hug of all the women, and Madison returned, and Madison finished very well after that. So she got a bump there. But on the way out, we were sitting on hole 18, and there were two people, one of which, I swear to God, is a Reddit troll that I've talked with before, who has talked a lot about how he hates the live broadcast and he mentioned to me today online, he's like, "Hey, John, I saw you out there. Your daughter, as we walked by," and I specifically remember this, she stopped and said to this woman, "I love your tattoo." She had a very large arm tattoo. And the woman was like, "Oh, thank you." Didn't realize it was this guy's partner. And the other was Chloe Alice, who walked by. And my daughter just goes, "Your hair is beautiful." And for those of you that know Chloe, the big, bright blue hair. It was a pleasure getting to see a lot of the women this weekend who I don't get a chance to see.
Your daughter's like the ultimate super fan out there.
She is. She loves sports in general. I think it's a whole crowd and cheering thing. She loves to cheer for people. And when we do live broadcasts, sometimes I'll put them on upstairs on the TV. She'll just sit and watch. And the problem is, like I said, keeping her too close to the action. She loves it when people miss putts. Uh-oh. So she'll cheer or laugh when people miss putts. So we tried to stay away from the greens because I didn't think it was necessarily the best time following some of the lead cards. And that might be because she sees me miss a lot of putts in the backyard. I don't know, but
she's like, "Oh man,
yeah,
they do it like Daddy."
Yeah, she'll go like, "Oh," or she'll just flat out laugh when people miss putts. Yeah. So we hung back.
That could be taken wrong.
It could be very taken wrong if you don't know, if you don't understand. But it was a great experience getting to be out there. Kind of a local, I don't want to say local course, but a course that we grew up on and played quite a bit. I was very happy to see a lot of people out there in person.
All right, I'm going to rip through a few questions here coming in probably from Facebook. Kyle, hope you're doing well. It's been a while, man. Says, looking to get back into the game after 15 years. How do you go about this without getting injured? My quick take on this, and Calvin can chime in. I'd say start with Disc Golf Strong and see what he puts up for free videos because he's just got this entire catalog of things, of great ways to get warmed up and get ready for your rounds. I mean, he's just such an incredible resource, and a lot of that is free, or almost all of that's free. So I would start there. Calvin, anything to add to that?
Yeah, warming up is probably one of the most important things to prevent you from hurting yourself. So if that's what you're talking about, yeah, warm up. If you're just talking about in terms of how the game's changed in however many years, whatever, 15, it's changed a lot. I'd probably just start with the same discs you had and try to add some new ones from there, because 15 years ago, I mean, we didn't have the distance drivers. Like, the distance drivers we have now didn't exist, so yeah, you're in for a surprise. There's some fast discs.
Yeah. Kyle had played in a bunch of tournaments I ran, actually, and I knew him as a youngster. Took, I think, one of the park and rec classes that I taught many years ago. Scrolling down, how's the ear since the preserve? Is there a story here I don't know about?
Yeah, I got an ear infection.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I got water in the ear and it got trapped in there and then turned into an ear infection. But yeah, it's doing better. Yeah, it's not as annoying anymore. So
you don't hear of ear infections often outside of kids. like children, getting them early on. Of course, they still happen, but what's like
when you act like a kid, maybe. So when you dive too deep in
like,
little ponds and get water stuck in your ear and you don't get it out.
Yeah. So what is like the feeling for you? Like what is it? Was it irritant? Did it make you dizzy or any? What were some of the effects?
Yeah, there was definitely some balance issues. Looking up wasn't necessarily great. Yeah, just some weird feelings, pressure, and yeah, I don't know. I won't get into all the details, but yeah, I mean, I had fluids coming out of my ear as well. So.
Okay, I think that's yummy. Christopher asked, does Kelvin say he'll be at Sula and European Open? Answer.
Yeah. Correct.
Yes. Do you like the grind of weekly tournaments, or maybe more spaced out? Maybe have 4 rounds with cuts. You'd always be playing the 4 rounds, but so you wouldn't get any kind of break there, most likely. But do you like tournaments every weekend, or what would be like the perfect number of tournaments in a month? Let's go that route.
The perfect number of tournaments in a month. Well, it could literally be 2 a month, and that would be fine. That would fill out every major event we play currently easily.
Okay. Ryan Pilcher says you can log on and create a profile going into a room on a regular PC or a mobile device. No VR equipment required. Back to the conversation about the Kingdom. I'd buy Terry a virtual jersey. Thank you. Christopher, did you get your flight not canceled? I don't know what. Oh, Scandinavian Airlines declared bankruptcy this morning. Oh.
Good luck.
You're on. Did I hear Delta? So you're safe?
Yep, I'm good. I'm pretty sure. I guess I should check my email. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm not flying Scandinavian Airlines.
Good call. Would you would you consider switching teams? Who would it be, and what would it take?
I don't think answering who it would be is necessarily the best move.
Yeah. So
would you go to Team Smashbox?
I don't know. It depends on what you guys are requiring out of me. I know you guys have some very rigorous
weekly
requirements.
Podcasts.
You know how we operate around here.
Yeah, I know there's some super rigorous, work that I have to put in. I don't know if I'm cut out for it. So the details would have to be ironed out on that one.
Okay.
I'm going to draft something up.
Okay. Perfect. Can send it to my agent.
Which I'd like to talk about in a moment. Evan does say I was supposed to fly out tomorrow, but got moved to Thursday on a different airline. Hopefully everything still works out just fine for you, Evan.
I mean, it just sounds like he doesn't have to work as many days in Europe.
Yeah, it sounds like
lucky you, Evan.
Arrives to Sula a little bit later. Christopher's not flying straight to Norway, but to London first. Has Calvin ever seen the 2005 movie Waiting, in which is Doppelganger? Okay, we already kind of talked about that. NFTs, blah, blah, blah. Calvin have a falsetto. Like, can he sing in the year 2000? Do you have a falsetto?
Maybe in the shower. I don't know.
I'll let everybody know tomorrow.
Whoa. That's the after show.
That's the after morning show.
All right. Terry's a celebrity, looks like himself. I don't wish that on anybody. Calvin, you and Simon are my favorite players.
Growing up, well, for a while, you looked like Mark McGuire. That was always the joke, because you had the goatee, kind of reddish, and
built like him.
I mean,
okay, maybe not. You and Simon are my favorite players. Y'all keep being great.
I'll just keep being myself.
No, they said great.
Well, maybe that's great, Terry.
I know our good friend Adam Schleiss is, he said he's super jealous. You're definitely one of his favorite players, and he's here in the Milwaukee area. He says he's jealous that he's not here hanging out with us. Checking the news, hospital search for Disc Blaster. Yeah, we haven't seen our favorite troll here tonight. You're right.
He is. He says,
is he?
Yeah, one of the very last things was just posted. He says, "I'm trash, Terry."
Oh, there he is. Great. Good. Geology. We got to get at least one geology question for Calvin. Where's the best place on tour to find the coolest rocks?
The best place on tour?
Coolest rocks.
My favorite, I think, is probably Preserve. You can find Lake Superior agates. I really think those are pretty cool. Lake Superior agates are red. I mean, there's a variety of colors, but traditionally you think of them as being red with white banding, I feel like, but there's a lot of other colors as well. But I think those are my favorites right now. A lot of other good places though. Jonesboro has cool agates, and there's obviously well, maybe not obviously, you got to be a loser like me to know where the rocks are, but yeah, there's a lot of cool rocks to find out, in Oregon and California.
I was so mesmerized when we had Luke on very early in his career, after I think he had won Amnats or Worlds, and he was talking about that, and then as I started talking to Evan, who I know got into it largely at the Preserve last year, along with you and others, the money that can be just literally picked up off the ground in a sense with picking up some of these cool rocks. Is it always about adding to your collection, or is there, dare I say, is there a tradability or an end goal? What's your take on it?
Probably depends on the person. I don't really have an end goal. I think honestly just looking for them is probably the fun part for me.
Have you found any valuable rocks?
I don't think I've found anything that valuable.
Sure. And then you just take them to like a local rock store if you do?
I don't know. I've never sold a rock, so I don't know how you go about doing that. But most of the stuff that I'm finding is really not worth that much in its raw form. So
I've got a rock tumbler in the other room if you want it. I mean, drive around with that going on in your car for like 3 days.
Yeah, get them all polished up, turn them
it's
into
gonna
some jewelry.
It's going to take more than 3 days. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what values rocks have.
The values in the journey.
Exactly. I think I do have one Lake Superior agate that could be worth maybe a little money. It was a pretty big one I found last year at the Preserve. Maybe like fist size. It's not very common.
Does it ever feel like stealing?
When I'm picking up rocks off the ground?
Yeah.
No.
Like they don't belong to the lake or to the state or to whoever might own that property?
I mean, yeah, if I was on private property, maybe it would feel like stealing. Different areas do have different rules on rock collecting, actually.
Yeah, I mean, is it posted like, "Hey, don't steal our rocks from here"?
Sometimes,
you've seen that, right?
Sometimes that is a thing. Yeah, it's kind of like There different states have different rules. Different even pieces of land have different rules. As far as rocks or fossils or artifacts, all those things, different rules, different places. Typically, rocks probably have the most lenient rules, just normal rocks, and then fossils are probably like the next. Then artifacts, a lot of states protect those a lot more carefully, and you're not really supposed to remove them, or if you do, you have to like report it to some agency. But like I know in Florida, for example, like if you're on public land, you're not allowed to remove an artifact if you find it.
Which nobody probably
listens to or knows or cares about. I'm sure, unless you found.
I've never seen anyone do that.
Yeah. All right. It's funny because there's a podcast in my queue right now. It's a political podcast normally, but he has his guest, and I haven't listened to it yet. Is a treasure hunter, and so all the different laws, and I believe that they're talking more undersea treasure in this particular one, but the maritime laws and rules and things that you have to abide by if you literally want to go treasure hunting like underwater. And it's sitting in my queue. I want to listen to it probably later this week. So, but it kind of reminds me of that.
All right. What other activity do you think you can beat the majority of people at? That's a good question, Luke. Basketball, pickleball, trivia, math. I don't know. Chemistry.
The majority of people.
Yeah. Is there anything else you could be semi-dominant at?
I don't know. It depends on the crowd.
Oh,
I don't know.
I mean, if you're around enough unathletic, stupid people, yeah, I guess you probably could.
Yeah, I could be good at a lot of things. But I don't know.
That's Terry's key. He surrounds himself with stupid people.
Yeah.
I know that says about us right now, Calvin, but
I don't know.
It's awkward.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm like that amazing. I feel like I'm good at a bunch of things, but like great, not really. Like I feel like a lot of disc golfers, anything with like hand-eye coordination, we're all just like kind of good at, we can pick up really quick. But like you're like good amongst like the normal crowd, but then if you like move yourself to like you take disc golfers and you actually bring them to like actual ping pong players, like you stand no chance. But like the normal majority of the population that casually plays ping pong, we're probably better than them, or just like a lot of hand-eye coordination things. Like we pick up quick, and we're better than probably the average person, but we're not better than like, you know, someone that's not even that great, but like more focused on that field.
Switching gears slightly, but in that same realm, take all sporting opportunities off the table. You get, we're just going to throw out a salary of $1 million.
Okay.
Your requirements are that you have to work at least 32 hours a week, and you have to enjoy it. You genuinely have to enjoy it. 32 hours a week, you have to enjoy it. You get paid $1 million for it, so money, the salary amount isn't the issue, and it's not anything athletically related. What's the dream job? Occupation, endeavor, whatever.
I mean, like almost anything can be a job. So,
well, yeah, but you have to enjoy it. That's one of the stipulations. You have to. It has to be fulfilling to you. You have to wake up and be excited to do it every day. What would that be to you? Again,
I don't know. Maybe I'd be like a treasure hunter.
Okay,
yeah, that'd be sweet. I
okay,
think that'd be fun. I don't know. That's why I like to look for fossils and rocks. It's like kind of like the thrill of the hunt. So like maybe I'm a treasure hunter. Maybe I need to listen to the same podcast as Johnny V.
It feels like a very low threshold because you'd be like, "Oh, I'm getting paid $1 million and I haven't found shit in 9 years, but I get to keep looking." Like your threshold feels pretty low, or your the floor, so to speak, is. But okay.
There's a few questions out here regarding Madison and her game. Do you play with her a lot? Do you give her tips? Does she give you tips? I mean, do you guys know each other's game well enough where she could say, "Hey, your putt is low. Here's why"? Or do you look at her and say, "Hey, you can probably drive if you turn your shoulders more" or something? Do you work together at all, or is it it just kind of like we're gonna go
practice and nobody cares?
Yeah, or practice and no one cares.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty familiar with Madison's game. I've played quite a bit with her over the past 4 years or so. So I definitely can give tips sometimes. There are things that are pretty obvious. I mean, it's not even just necessarily just Madison, but like people you are familiar with. Sometimes people are doing something that's abnormal, and it's pretty easy to point out. Other times it's a little less obvious, and you can just kind of help someone work it out by like just talking it through, figuring out what you're doing different than maybe 2 weeks ago. But yeah, I would say there's within the group of people I typically play with, we can all kind of help each other and pick through whatever form issues when they come up.
Okay.
All right, we're going to read a few more off the board. Again, rapid fire. Can Jam, you've played, you like it, right?
Yeah, Can Jam's fun.
It's
Dollar Can Jam, Coachman Park, they do it after handicap sometimes.
Yeah. Cam Jam, certainly, and that's been around for a number of years. It's gone through its phases in terms of like sheer popularity, just like we kind of saw Spike Ball, but it's always like an option, and if somebody has it, especially as a disc golfer, like you bust it out, you're going to find people that want to play, and I'd be right there ready to go anytime as well. It's a lot of fun. You play basketball? Yes.
Yeah, casually I like to play. I get to shoot around with Zach a bunch. He's definitely better than me, but he's less mobile, so I can out hustle him.
I like it. Can you juggle 3 balls?
Yep.
Okay. How much geology did you take in college?
I took like 1 or 2 classes. They weren't very I don't know. They weren't amazing. One was just like, I mean, they had nothing to do with anything I was getting a degree or a minor in, but took them for fun. One was just like an intro geology course, which was kind of boring.
Did you take the intro to geology?
I
did. Where it was just basically identifying rocks.
I feel like I did.
Like I don't remember offhand if you were. We could have been in the same class for all I know.
Yeah,
it's been so long, but it was just like, cool. What type of rock is this? Is it hard? Is it soft?
I feel like I did.
I'm fairly certain I did.
All right, Toro versus Pig. What disc wins and why? I think I know that answer. We kind of hit on that already.
Obviously,
Toro all
the
day.
Toro.
Yeah, he helped design it. Right?
Go get yourself one, right?
Yep,
Is that what I'm supposed to say?
Yeah. How panicked was Eric Oakley when you picked him up? Any thoughts on the disc golfers moving to your state? So Eric Oakley, for those out there, got in a car accident recently. Played chicken with a deer, but lost was what I gather.
Panhandle's barely Florida.
I mean, I guess you could call it chicken. But Eric did hit a deer on his way to the preserve outside of Sioux Falls. He was okay physically. But yeah, I think he was pretty fine. Obviously, there was a lot for him to sort through and deal with as far as his vehicle, what he was going to continue traveling in, just moving his stuff. And even just how like all that had just some other implications it had with other plans he had moving forward with the rest of the year. There's just a lot of stuff he had to sort out. So I think he was definitely, I wouldn't say he was panicked, but he definitely had a lot on his mind and a lot to figure out.
Yeah, and getting a new car right now sucks.
I was just going to say, it was totaled out, I assume, from just the one picture I remember seeing.
Yeah, Eric, his car they considered it totaled. But yeah, I picked him up. I drove back from Minnesota to Sioux Falls, grabbed him, and we drove back to Minneapolis where, like that day, he bought a little minivan. He bought a used minivan, and that's now what he's traveling in. So he got his like whole traveling arrangement sorted out pretty quickly. I know there's still just a bunch of stuff with the car. Like the car is still currently parked in someone's farm, I think, or something like that until everything else gets sorted out. But
sure. Always some kind of challenge with it. Can you juggle 5 balls?
No, I've never. I have not put enough time into juggling or practice juggling to.
What are you doing all day other than when you're driving? Why not just work on juggling while you drive?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we should all start messaging James to see if maybe James Conrad will put on like a clinic for all of us on how to, because I'm pretty sure he's capable.
Oh yeah.
He can juggle a lot of things, a lot of different shaped things. So.
Oh yeah.
What's the most dangerous thing you've seen him juggle? Have you seen him juggle like knives or anything?
I'm pretty sure I have seen him juggle knives. I don't know. I haven't seen him juggle in a while, but I remember I traveled for like a month with James in 2017, and I feel like he had like a box of stuff for juggling in his 4Runner.
Who doesn't carry their juggling box?
Yeah.
I mean, I've never had one, but typically it's just like
birthday gift.
Typically it's just like, oh, I have 3 clementines or something like that. So,
game on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you're traveling and you're driving, do you fill most of your time with music, podcasts? Well, you're on the road by yourself quite a bit probably, and how do you spend that time particularly?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. It's not like I do the same thing every time. A lot of phone calls. Phone calls really help break it up for me. Sure. Sometimes it's just silence. But I mix it up. Music, podcast, phone calls are definitely probably my favorite. It makes you feel like you're just not there alone driving all the way across
Terry's
the country.
Good for that. Trust me.
You can call me anytime.
Now I got Johnny's number.
Just call me whenever.
I feel like what you're really hinting at is you would like a separate Smashbox feed of nothing but after shows, and we could probably get that set up for you. So just click a button and it's like after show after after show after after show.
Oh yeah, I'll download that. I mean, I don't have to listen to it. You said the download's all that counts.
Download and then give it 5 stars.
What
favorite band?
Yeah, I'll say what bands are on your list when you're driving.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it depends. I don't know if I would have a favorite. I know, like, my favorite, get pumped for tournament rounds is Destiny's Child, but...
I like that.
But, yeah, I don't know. It changes on the mood. Okay. But I'm not very picky with music in the first place, so it bounces around a lot.
Boxers or briefs? This is getting weird.
Maybe boxer briefs.
Boxer briefs, okay.
I'll go check the dryer.
Can you hack...
Check the dryer.
Johnny's going to find out. Can you hacky sack well?
No, I'm not very coordinated with the foot sports.
Okay. Do you like Rush?
The band.
I don't know. I'm going to say no then. Maybe they're
music's
good.
hobby.
I probably would like them. I just don't know who they are. Honestly, I might have even heard of them, but like names are. I'm very bad with music names, band names.
You've definitely
artist
heard
names.
Rush.
Yeah,
but-
you've probably heard Tom Sawyer at least once or twice, especially if you're on tour.
Any interest in hitting festivals with Paige and James? Do you got out of your way to hit up any? Well, I'm going to broaden that to just entertainment. Is there any other entertainment that you're like, hey, we're in this town, I'd like to go, whether it's it could be a comedy club, could be another sporting event, a music festival, a movie, any other entertainment that jumps out at you?
Yeah, occasionally I get to go to some other sporting events. Zach and I like to occasionally do that as far as like I've been to some baseball, basketball games, hockey games. I think maybe my favorite, even though I probably care the least about that sport out of all of them, but like I think they're fun. Yeah, movies aren't necessarily my thing. I'll go. Zach loves movies. I go to movies a bunch with him, but I fall asleep.
He's into the whole Marvel movies and
yeah, I
like
fall asleep. I fall asleep in a lot of movies. To be honest, the chairs are too comfy or something. I don't know. But music festivals don't really normally hit that list.
Okay.
Nasser asks if you'll go to the Gathering of the Juggalos with him. Are you familiar?
I'm not familiar.
That is where all the fans of the Insane Clown Posse get together, and it's like a big giant festival. They always have a bunch of other bands play, and it's a little chaotic, but I've heard a lot of fun. I've never participated. I've never done it, but are you familiar with Insane Clown Posse? Like two rappers with like weird painted faces that look like kind of Kiss and.
No, I'm gonna have to look them up now.
Yes,
sounds entertaining.
It's not great music.
All right.
Not gonna lie.
Johnny's going to create enemies here.
No, I think a lot of people will say that, but that's not to say that the festival isn't fun.
All right. Well, let's on a semi more serious note. What is it meant for you to have representation or to have a manager? How is that defined for you in terms of having representation? What exactly does that mean to you right now?
As far as like what it does for me, it takes it just takes a lot off of my plate as far as not even, I don't know, really in disc golf I don't really have a good way of valuing myself and what I'm really worth, and it's a lot easier for someone that's not you to go to bat for you. So yeah, I mean, just as far as figuring out what I am monetarily worth, it's been useful as far as just taking other loads off my plate, as far as managing some of the relationships I have with my current sponsors, making sure that they're keeping up their ends of, what my benefits need to be from them, and that I'm doing everything I need to be doing as far as, what they want from me. And it's been a huge help.
From what we've heard from a number of our players is that it feels like the management side has been taken care of, and I go back all the way back to Macbeth talking about whoever was representing them, which like for a lot of players turned out to be, I think, a colossal flop at the time. And I'm not going to say we called that, but we've seen this. We've seen this a number of times unfold that way. But the way he structured it specifically, and he was one of a handful of people that were being represented by that company at the time, is that they were taking care of all the things that weren't specific to disc golf. As in, if a new sponsor came in, as in if Johnsonville approached, or maybe even I don't know if Ideo Sports as a shoe manufacturer would maybe be outside of your disc manufacturer. It felt like there was a line drawn though of like, well, you have your disc manufacturer and I handle that. I handle that relationship on my own, but everything else is handled by the management company. Where does that line get drawn for you specifically? And
currently they're pretty much managing everything for me.
So they'll be involved in any off-season stuff for you.
Yep, they're involved in all that. So
I told you.
Honestly, that's like my least favorite part of this job. So
the business side.
Yeah, it's not really what I'm necessarily good at. So I am much better at throwing frisbees than I am at the business
I would
side.
love to see you like so fired up and like mad in a conference room and like screaming for your to represent. I'd love to see that. What's the most mad disc golf has ever seen you? Like anywhere in disc golf, when's the most like you've been just absolutely pissed off? When was that?
The most pissed off I've been.
Like that we've ever seen. And maybe it was only within the group on hole 8 at a certain tournament. But when's like the most mad you have ever been within disc golf?
The most, like actually at the course, I don't know. I feel like a lot of times it doesn't come out until after.
So are you one that could get in your van and be like, I don't believe I just shot a 7 under when, you know, all I needed was a 10 under to win the tournament, and you're driving out of the town and you're like, just 3 more strokes and I would have won that tournament? Like, that's when you're pissed off?
Sometimes, yeah, for sure. I don't know. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for it all to set in, I guess. But as far as on the course, I don't know. I got pretty mad once at Zootown Open. James reminded me of this not that long ago.
another anger management guy, yeah.
Yeah, I got mad at a newspaper photographer.
Like clicking or moving.
Yeah, just
or
like
something?
a super loud shutter, and then like being very, very, very close to you with a loud shutter, and it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know, if the shutter was literally going off the entire time you were lining up a shot, it wouldn't really matter. But it's when it's like halfway through your putting stroke and all of a sudden it's just like a weird, loud, unnatural noise. It just seems to get you. It like clicks your brain out of what it's trying to do, and all of a sudden you lay up a 20-foot putt and it slides up to the pole.
Okay. Did you give a side eye or the evil eye? Did you huff? Did you throw anything down? All the above?
Did you tell the guy to stop it?
I took my hat off and threw it at the ground. I don't know if I said anything. I don't think I really. I actually definitely did say something, but I don't remember what it was. It wasn't anything that aggressive, but I was definitely
blackout rage.
Mad.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Johnny, you lining up we'll start to get our giveaway here all lined up.
All right, so I guess we're gonna do, because Kelvin's here, we are gonna do the Kelvin Destroyer is what people want. So we'll save some of those. We'll save some of those other things for other weekends. We've got, like I said, the disc member box. We've got the celebrity signature disc on the Skyline Classic from 2019, maybe 2017. I don't know.
Chock full of celebrities,
chock
and superstars.
Exactly. It was literally the first disc it was right in front of that bin right there, and it was white, so I grabbed it so it could be easily signed. But we are going to do the Kelvin Heimburg Destroyer tonight. So in order to be eligible, you need to be a Patreon supporter at any level. You can go to patreon.com/smashboxtv and support us. Kelvin is a $50 a week supporter, and if he can do it, you can do it.
I really can't wait to win this disc.
It's
someday.
You don't need that disc, because when we were at the celebrity meet and greet afterwards, Terry came up to you with some plastic, and as Terry's wont to do, usually he gets things signed and he gives them away as CTPs or things like that for whatever.
Or somebody occasionally will call me up and be like,
"Hey, can you?
I need a very special gift. My son loves blank." It's always Kelvin. My son loves Kelvin Heimburg. Do you have anything unique? I'm like, actually, I got him to sign at one point this really cool Destroyer. And so those are often how a lot of those actually, that's where they end up.
So you walked up to, I was standing there, you walked up to Kelvin with like 4 discs, I think, and 2 of them were Halo Destroyers, Kelvin Halo Destroyers.
Yep.
I believe with the green.
Yeah, there were 4. There were 2 pinks and two teals. Green, yeah.
Kelvin happily signed the pink ones and happily took the green ones. He literally was like, "Cool, thanks, Terry." And just took your Destroyers right out of your pocket.
Gosh.
And and nicely said that he would work something out with you.
Yes, he said, I've got a dozen Toros per destroyer.
First run, unique, team stamp, all that stuff.
And I said, that's a hard bargain because I've been holding on to these for a while, and your Toros are new and unproven. And Calvin obliged.
Because there was something about.
I guess he has a witness. So
I was there. It's like total. It's a witness. If you can't trust me, you can't trust anybody. But no, those particular discs. You said they were They were this year's Calvin's.
Last year's.
Or they were last year's first run.
And those are the ones you personally prefer more so. Is that a fair statement? Without.
Yeah. Yeah. The first run of the teal rims were, for whatever reason, a little more overstable than any of the other ones. So, good disc to have, especially when you get into some windy places. It's not necessarily a disc I would bust out at every tournament, but there's certain tournaments where that's like pretty much the only thing that you can throw. So, useful disc to have. I ran out, so now I have a couple more, and luckily the tooth fairy came, or the disc fairy came.
The tea fairy, yeah.
And in all fairness, you snatched those right back out of Jeremy Coling's hands,
because Coling, he was
also
eyeing them up.
wanted them.
Yeah.
I mean, your name's already on the disc. I got to give you first dibs.
Yeah. I mean, I would get first dibs if they were a Thunderbird too. But
That's true. That's true.
I mean, we know who you like more, Terry.
Don't tell everybody. Or go ahead. No. So yes, it was great, and in all fairness, I had bought a ton of your discs last year, which cost me quite a bit of money, but happy to support. And so to hear that there's a couple that you particularly seek out, I feel like that's even more gratifying to know. Maybe we can work out a trade or something for something updated that you're rolling around with, some of those sweet Toros.
I've got some of his clothes in my dryer if you need it, Terry. Like just a shirt or a sock or something. I don't know.
I know what shoes he loves now.
That's true.
I might snatch all those up and hold them hostage.
My gosh.
Just wait till I show up to the next Celebrity Skins match with all your favorite shoes.
Do you? I know this is going to sound like a really weird question. Do you throw away your shoes when you're done with them? Just throw them away?
Oh, I've got ideas.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you ever thought about doing like a fan giveaway, or because we've seen that with like basketball players will sign shoes when they're done after a game and give them to a fan. Have you ever thought like, hey, this is something that I'm maybe you are now, but I'm known for. Maybe I could just sign a shoe and give it to a kid, or sign a shoe and give it to.
I get first
dibs. Terry's such a weird creep. And if not, would you, can I have your shoes?
No.
Yeah, I guess I'll make sure to give all my old shoes to Terry from now on.
Okay.
That's so weird. No,
maybe Terry will start giving me mine. I think my shoes are in much worse condition than an NBA player's shoes.
I mean, they're game worn, but yeah, that's true because they usually have a pair of
shoes.
They
wear them for like one night,
one or two nights, and then they're done.
Carl's are all around.
I'm just saying because the other thing I want to talk about real quick here, and I want to give a huge shout out to Brixton Cards, who sent Terry and I one box of cards each, and some of these have actual like discs put on them, fabric from certain players, shirts, jersey. Some of them are signed. There's a few unique ones, and I was just thinking, why not have part of your shoes? They'll cut up some of your shoes and put it in a disc. See?
There's some encapsulated tears.
Yeah, don't
sweats.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, your box might have a funk to it, but
whatever.
It's a special Calvin funk. Either way, I just I'm just trying to be an entrepreneur here, and I'm sorry your manager hasn't, or your agent hasn't worked on you, but I'm just saying I get first dibs.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
All right, we're gonna get to the giveaway. Oh, we're gonna let Calvin pick the number tonight. That'll be fun.
Yeah, we have 176 people eligible for our giveaway tonight.
So I gotta click the generate button.
No, well, you could do that, but first, go ahead.
All right, Calvin's gonna click the generate button, and how many times? We usually do it sometime between 1 and 4. You get to pick.
All right, we'll do it 3 times.
Okay.
All right, Calvin.
The first number is 156.
Ooh, sorry, bud.
Yeah.
Probably not going to get picked again.
Nope. Probably. Well, I mean, they got just as much chance.
145.
Is it going to be higher or lower than 145, Calvin?
It's going to be lower.
All right, here he goes. 156.
105. So now what we do is I go to my fancy dancy spreadsheet, and I sorted it by address. And if you didn't have an address, which some people don't, then I think it was sorted by first name. So
Just put you in by
105.
2 left Calvin feet.
105 is No Ruiz. So congratulations, No Ruiz.
No.
N-O-E. No Ruiz. You are our Patreon winner for tonight.
Heck yeah.
So you are going to get the signed Kelvin Heimburg
And he signed it with his feet.
shoe. No, you're not going to get his shoe. Not unless I can steal it tonight. Like, I don't know where your shoes went, Calvin. It's really weird.
You have to go to the airport. You can't get through security with them on anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need them. Let's be honest. No, you're going to get the Calvin Heimburg Halo black on black destroyer.
Heck yeah.
So congratulations. And Terry will reach out to you to get your address because Terry does all of our shipping.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Now's that time, Calvin.
Can we open an OnlyFans account for you?
I'll run it.
That's really interesting. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk later.
All right, after. Show.
All right. Yes. Sorry, you missed out on it, Ray. You are not the lucky winner tonight. Calvin, here's the floor yet again. Is there anything you want to say to the Smashies or anyone else in there in the disc golf
Photographers that are too close?
Yeah. Any grievances you need to air?
I mean, this is where we usually make fun of Zach Melton.
Yep. Now's that time.
Yeah, I do that enough. It's okay. I don't need this floor to do that. I don't want to give him the platform. You know?
Good call. Not worth the breath.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, just thanks everybody for tuning in, supporting. Terry and Johnny here on Smashbox. And yeah, shout out to all my sponsors. Innova, Millennium, Grip, Whale Sacks, VII, Flight Factory. I think that's Brojo's. I think that's everybody. Yeah, shout out to all of them for supporting me, and then shout out to honestly you guys for supporting these guys and enjoying their show.
All right. Well, with that, I think we're going to close out. Again, I messaged back to Haley King. She's all good. We wish her the best of luck. I'm sure I'll be seeing her in a couple days, and as we said, maybe she'll take down Idlewild, and we can have her come and join us next week. But thank you to all of our Smashies. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We appreciate you guys. As always, we love our Patreon supporters just a little bit more or a lot more. But thank you guys for the support, as Calvin just said. For Johnny V, along with Calvin Heimburg, who's heading international, I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. We'll see you next week for episode 411 when you step inside the Smashbox.